Chapter 820. The two of them quickly set their sights on their next target. It was a Tier 4 high-grade monster fish. There was nothing strange about its body, but it had a pair of wings. As they flew, they even created huge waves in the Wanchuan River. If Wang Daoyuan was here, he would be able to recognize that this was one of the primordial beasts, the luo fish. This fellow's minor divine ability was also water manipulation. However, its ability to borrow water power to fight was not very good. At most, it could cause a flood. The primordial mutant beast must have come from the West Sea. If it wasn't for this minor divine ability, it wouldn't have survived until now. Wang Shui's water dragon merged into the waves created by the luo fish and swam towards it. Soon, the water dragon swept past Luo Yu's back. With a flick of its tail, the huge wave behind it changed direction and took the water dragon elsewhere. Wang Shui controlled the water dragon and left the giant wave. Wang Daojian swung his sword at Luo Yu. Wang Daojian's sword didn't have anything special about it, but there were some fluctuations of spiritual power on the surface. Luo Yu saw that his cultivation was low and did not think much of it. With a flap of its wings, a water column with a diameter of 1 zhang separated from the huge wave and headed straight for Chu Li. However, he did not expect Wang Daojian's sword to be so ridiculously powerful that it could pierce through the water pillar. After piercing through the water column, an astonishing killing intent erupted from the long sword. Luo Yu turned pale with fright and hurriedly dodged, but one of his wings was still sliced off. Seeing that his attack was successful, Zhang Xian chased after him once more. Luo Yu didn't dare to fight anymore and fled into the Wanchuan River with the huge wave. Wang Shui controlled the water dragon to chase after it, but it was blocked by the huge waves, allowing the luo fish to successfully escape into the river. Now that this primordial mutated beast had been defeated, the other demonic beasts grew timid. They didn't dare to venture deeper into the land and retreated into the myriad rivers. Wang Shui was shocked. Dao Jian, your strength has increased dramatically in the past few years. I'm no longer your match. Wang Daojian smiled and said, it was seventh brother who left me some sword cultivation legacy. After I changed my cultivation technique, my strength increased greatly. He even left me a sword intent, allowing me to comprehend the Guiyuan sword intent. My strength is weaker than yours, but this strange fish is distracted by you. Otherwise, it would be very difficult for my sword to hurt it. That's not easy either. An early golden core stage cultivator can injure a 4th-tier upper-grade demonic beast. His strength is far beyond his peers. The two of them did not dare to stay outside for long. They put away the carcass of the catfish they had killed earlier and quickly returned to Wanchuan Market. At this time, a portion of spiritual energy was split off from the defensive barrier of the market and turned into 3 giant sharks. The 3 sharks opened their bloody mouths and bit at the 3 demonic beasts. This was Jia Qi's method. It was easy to deal with rank 4 demonic beasts, and the 3 demonic beasts were instantly killed. The giant shark still had plenty of energy left and continued to attack the other demonic beasts. The demonic beasts quickly hid and left the Wanchuan Market. The giant shark was summoned with the help of the array formation, so it couldn't stray too far from the array formation. Therefore, it didn't give chase and returned to the defensive light barrier. The demonic beasts were still gathered 200 miles downstream of Wanchuan Market. They didn't dare to approach, but they didn't disperse either. The two sides continued to be in a stalemate. The Wang family members didn't dare to enter the river, and the demonic beasts didn't dare to come ashore. At this moment, in the Heavenly Mystery Pagoda, Wang Daoyuan was condensing the 5 organs in Yuan Ying's body. This was not an experiment, so he was even more careful. He slowly drew out the spiritual fire essence from the 5 spiritual energy seeds and condensed the 5 organs. The kidneys were extremely important. There were 2 more, so it was more difficult to condense them. At the same time, he drew out the spiritual fire essence from the water spiritual energy seed and condensed 2 kidneys that were less than an inch long. The 2 kidneys were connected to the spiritual energy seed at the same time. There were also 2 lungs, which were condensed from the spiritual fire essence of the Tai golden flames. After the 5 organs were formed, he drew out the spiritual fire essence and condensed something similar to blood vessels and meridians to connect the 5 organs. Half a year passed in the space. The 5 organs, simple blood vessels, and meridians were all condensed. Yuanying returned to his body and circulated the improved 5 spirits immortal transformation technique. After the spiritual energy was refined by the spiritual fire, it quickly entered Yuanying. After passing through the spiritual energy seeds, it entered Yuanying's 5 organs and circulated continuously in his 5 organs. After the spiritual energy was converted by the 5 organs, it was continuously converted into qi and blood energy. Wang Daoyuan guided the qi and blood energy into his body and performed the body tempering part of the technique. Just circulating the technique for 2 hours was equivalent to a day's effect. There were no problems during the circulation process. On the other hand, Yuanying was more agile and did not look any different from a real baby. Previously, Divine Venerable Blood Spirit had said that he did not cultivate this technique and could only help deduce it. He had already reached his limit. He could not help with any further improvements, so there was no need for him to enter again. After staying in the Heavenly Mystery Tower for a few days, it was time to go out and take a look. He also took a look at the Sword Immortal Legacy in the Heavenly Mystery Tower and discovered that it did not belong to Sword Immortal Beiyuan. In that case, there was not much point in using it as a reference. No matter how brilliant the sword intent of other sword cultivators was, it could only be a small branch of his own sword intent. After leaving the Heavenly Mystery Tower, he received a message from Zhou Wan. This message was sent from Blood Shadow and the Divine Weapon Pavilion, and it explained the situation at Wanshuan Market. Wang Daoyuan was rather gratified. The 12th uncle had a minor divine power and could be considered an expert. Wang Daojian made him even more overjoyed. The Purple Mansion phenomenon was the sword of Beiyuan. Cultivating the sword of Beiyuan was like having divine help. In just a few years, he had integrated the sword of Beiyuan. Wanshuan Market was very stable, so he had nothing to worry about. Tribulation clouds covered more than 150 kilometers north of the Heavenly Mystery Tower. This should be a half-step Yuanying cultivator who had successfully formed his nascent soul and was about to undergo the Yuanying heavenly tribulation. In order to avoid disturbing the person undergoing the tribulation, he did not use his divine perception to check. The 6 people who were attempting to form their nascent souls were probably the sect masters of the 4 top factions and the retired emperors of Zhou and Qin. They all had inherited Dharma artifacts, so the heavenly tribulation would not affect them much. The only threat was the final divine power tribulation. However, they had all accumulated it for hundreds of years. The success rate of forming their nascent souls and transcending the tribulation was much higher than that of ordinary cultivators. Wang Daoyuan could not help with these matters, so he entered the Heavenly Mystery Tower to improve his alchemy skills. In the space of the Spirit Pearl, he had already harvested a batch of spirit herbs for the nascent cultivating pill and the 9 deaths soul return pill. His alchemy skills had been stuck at superior grade tier 4 and could not refine tier 5 pills. With a divine artifact like the Heavenly Mystery Tower, he felt that it would be a loss if he did not reap more benefits. After entering the first level of the Heavenly Mystery Tower, the alchemy inheritance was mostly the same, but the methods were slightly different. It did not matter which senior he learned from. He casually found a futon and sat down. The information of the inheritance was written next to the soul crystal in front of him. The owner of this inheritance was called the Thousand Hands Divine Venerable. From the name, one could tell that this senior's alchemy techniques were very unique. He used his divine perception to probe the soul crystal and saw an alchemy room in front of him. There were 2 fire pits on the ground, and each of them had a pill furnace. Wang Daoyuan was sitting cross-legged in front of one pill furnace, and a thin old man was sitting next to the other pill furnace. Wang Daoyuan hurriedly stood up and bowed. "Greetings, senior." The Thousand Hands Divine Venerable replied, "No need to be so polite. Since you are here to learn alchemy, you can refine a cauldron of pills first. In this illusion, you can refine whatever pill you want, and the raw materials will automatically appear." Previously, when he was in the Sea of 7 Stars, he refined the most high-grade tier 4 beast blood heavenly pill. With a thought, the raw materials for the beast blood heavenly pill appeared in his hand. Using these raw materials, he quickly refined a cauldron of pills, producing 5 pills. The Thousand Hands Divine Venerable nodded. Not bad. Your divine perception is strong enough, and your alchemy foundation is very solid. It's just that your alchemy technique is too crude. This old man's name is the Thousand Hands Divine Venerable. In terms of technique, there are very few alchemists who can match me. In the past, I refined Tier 8 pills for earthly immortals, so I can be considered a Tier 8 alchemist. I will demonstrate it to you once. After you learn my technique, you should be able to try refining Tier 5 low-grade pills. After saying that, the Thousand Hands Divine Venerable began refining the beast blood heavenly pill. His technique was worthy of his name. Whether it was processing spiritual herbs or condensing pill veins, his speed was extremely fast. With Wang Daoyuan's cultivation, he could barely see the technique. In just a quarter of an hour, a cauldron of pills was formed. Chapter 8:21. Thousand Hands Divine Venerable smiled and said, I've already slowed down as much as possible. With your spiritual sense cultivation, you should be able to see my technique. Use my technique to refine again. I want to see how your talent is. First learn my alchemy technique, then try to refine several furnaces of pills at the same time. This old man can refine more than a dozen pills in one furnace at the same time. It's enough for you to learn a little bit. Wang Daoyuan quickly began to refine pills, imitating Thousand Hands Divine Venerable's technique. It took him half a day to refine a furnace of pills, producing 5 pills. Thousand Hands Divine Venerable nodded and said, not bad. With a new technique, the time is shortened a lot, and it won't affect the success rate. Refine a few furnaces of pills, and when you produce 6 pills, you can try to refine a 5th tier pill. Wang Daoyuan nodded, and the formed pills disappeared as he continued to refine. Since he started to refine pills, he had always felt his way across the river. No one had ever guided him. Now that he had the guidance of an ancient almighty, his progress was naturally fast. 5 days later, he was able to refine pills in 2 hours, producing 6 pills in one furnace. Thousand Hands Divine Venerable smiled and said, the child is worth teaching. Now you can try to refine a 5th tier pill. What pill do you want to refine? I'll teach you first. Wang Daoyuan cupped his hands and said, Junior wants to refine a 9 deaths soul returning pill. Thousand Hands Divine Venerable began to refine, and while processing the pills, he also explained every step to pay attention to. After demonstrating once, Wang Daoyuan began to refine. It took him 4 hours to successfully refine a cauldron of medicinal pills. The first time he refined, he produced 2 pills. After a few more attempts, the success rate reached 3 pills, and he could be considered a 5th tier alchemist. Wang Daoyuan spent more than a month and was able to refine 2 furnaces of pills at the same time. Thousand Hands Divine Venerable's alchemy technique could be considered to have reached the entry level. To improve his alchemy level, he needed a lot of practice, and it was impossible to go further in a short time. He bid farewell to Thousand Hands Divine Venerable and left the dreamland. Now that his alchemy had improved, it was time to improve his other techniques. The second level was refining. Although Wang Daoyuan didn't need to improve his refining skills as soon as possible, he needed to improve the spirit gathering pearl. Before he left Beiyuan, his master had improved the spiritual energy stored in one spiritual gathering pearl. The amount of spiritual energy stored in one spiritual gathering pearl was roughly equivalent to 2 upper-level spiritual stones. It wasn't a problem to use it to power a Tier 5 flying ship, but it wasn't enough to power a battle puppet. Wang Daoyuan's sword puppet was equipped with 3 spirit-gathering pearls. If he fought with all his strength, he could only hold on for half an hour. Once they encountered a strong enemy, it would not be enough. Just like the current situation in Wanchuan Market, the sword puppets didn't dare to make a move. If the spiritual gathering pearl had enough spiritual energy, it could fight for 2 hours. The demonic beasts around Wanchuan Market would not be enough for the sword puppet to practice on. Arriving on the second floor, Zhang Xian took a look at the various legacies and found quite a few legacies regarding the forging of flying warships. The forces in Beiyuan that could refine tier for flying warships just happened to have the qualifications to enter this place. Wang Daoyuan searched for a while and sat down on a futon. The owner of this legacy was called Supreme Divinity Tianzhou. Just by looking at this title, he knew that the level of forging flying ships was extremely high. It was a good opportunity to learn both forging and array formations. Entering it with his divine sense, Zhang Xian found that this illusion was a forging room with a sturdy old man inside. Wang Daoyuan quickly bowed. "Greetings, Senior." Supreme Divinity Tianzhou waved his hand. "No need to be so polite. How are your forging and array formations?" "Low-grade tier 5 blacksmith and high-grade tier 4 array master. I once forged a mid-grade tier 4 flying warship on my own." His array formation cultivation was completely trained by repairing flying ships. When returning from the Sea of 7 Stars, although there weren't many problems with the high-grade tier 5 flying ship, there were many minor problems. He often used array formations, so his level had improved a little. Divine Sovereign Tianzhou nodded. It's not easy for someone so young to have such attainments in both the Tao of artifact refining and array formation. The spirit power conversion device of a tier 4 flying warship requires a large number of law inscriptions. It's very difficult to forge it on your own. Since you can forge a mid-grade tier 4 flying warship on your own, it seems that your talent isn't bad. Wang Daoyuan was a little confused. "Senior, are you talking about those inscriptions that look like pill, tool, and array inscriptions but aren't exactly the same?" "It's those inscriptions. They are the manifestation of law. Yuanian cultivators' understanding of law is still too shallow. If you want to understand law inscriptions, you need to be at least in the soul formation realm. Unfortunately, your cultivation is too low, so you can only learn some minor things. How about this, you can learn how to forge a low-grade tier 5 flying ship from me. This way, your forging and array formation skills can improve. It's difficult to understand a tier 5 spirit power conversion device, but it's not difficult to make one." Wang Daoyuan learned how to forge a tier 5 flying ship from Supreme Divinity Tianzhou. It only took him a year to forge a tier 5 spirit power conversion device and raise his array formation skills to low-grade tier 5 flying ship. This surprised Supreme Divinity Tianzhou. Although a tier 5 spirit power conversion device isn't much different from a tier 4 flying ship, you are able to forge one in such a short time. But for you to be able to refine it in such a short time, your talent is indeed not bad. After learning this and practicing more, you can even forge a high-grade tier 5 flying ship. You won't be able to understand anything more profound, so that's it. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask. Wang Daoyuan engraved the refining method of the spirit gathering pearl in the illusion. "Senior, this is a magic tool refining method I obtained in my early years. This magic tool is called the spirit gathering pearl. It can absorb spirit energy and convert it into spirit power. After many improvements, it has reached this level. I can use this thing to power the flying ship and puppets. It can save a lot of spirit stones, and it won't be a problem for me to travel across the sea. However, the amount of spirit power it can store is too little. It's still a bit lacking when used on battle puppets. Junior's talent is shallow, and I'm still far from being able to improve it on my own. I'd like to ask Senior to help improve this thing so that it can store more spirit power." Supreme Divinity Tianzhou carefully examined the refining method of the spirit gathering pearl and nodded. "This thing is not bad. In the past, there were many similar magic tools in the Qinyuan realm. The main purpose is to save spirit stones. After all, spirit stones are produced too slowly and can't supply a large number of cultivators. However, the speed at which this thing transforms spirit energy into spirit power is too slow. It can only be used on tier 4 or tier 5 magic tools. Factions without high-grade spirit veins can't use this thing. Your spirit gathering pearl uses a multi-layered refining method. It's rather brilliant, but the refining method is also more complicated. I can help you improve it to a Tier 5 magic tool. With nomological inscriptions instead of tool patterns, the spirit power it can store should be about 10 times that of a high-grade spirit stone. However, this thing is already at its limit. Don't try to improve it. As for the reason, you will naturally understand when you reach the soul formation realm. Saying too much now will only affect your state of mind. Since Mahayana cultivators were so secretive, it most likely involved the heavenly Tao. With Wang Daoyuan's mid-stage Yuaniing cultivation, it was better not to touch on this level. He did not dare to ask again. He cupped his hands and said, "In that case, I'll have to trouble you, Senior." Supreme Divinity Tianzhou nodded and began to replace tool patterns with nomological inscriptions. As expected of a Mahayana cultivator, it only took him 5 days to finish improving the Spirit Gathering Pearl. He also refined a Tier 5 low-grade Spirit Gathering Pearl. He handed the Spirit Gathering Pearl to Wang Daoyuan. The spirit power stored is equivalent to 10 high-grade spirit stones. If placed near a Tier 5 low-grade spirit vein, it will take 3 months to absorb the full amount of spirit power. Then, the refining method condensed in the air. Previously, the method of dividing the spirit gathering pearl into multiple layers was good, but it was too complicated. Now that I'm using nomological inscriptions instead of tool patterns, the refining process is saved a lot. However, the difficulty of inscribing nomological inscriptions has increased a lot. Remember this refining method and don't casually improve it. Wang Daoyuan took the spirit gathering pearl. The amount of spirit power stored was 5 times more than before, and it did not increase in size. If it was used by the sword puppet, it would be able to fight at full strength for more than an hour. It was not afraid of a battle of attrition. At that moment, the Heaven's Mystery Tower suddenly closed. Wang Daoyuan hurriedly went out. Something big must have happened. Chapter 822. The moment Xiaochen left the Heavenly Mystery Tower, he received a message from Zhou Wan. It was still from Blood Shadow and the Divine Weapon Pavilion. It wasn't that something major had happened to the Wang clan. The demonic beasts at the Wanshuan market still didn't have the guts to attack them. They only dared to harass them in the river. This news came from the Linhai province. A large number of demonic beasts had gathered in the outer sea. Zhou Wan suspected that a 5th-ranked demonic beast had appeared in the outer sea. It was good that they hadn't made a move yet. There was still enough time to go back. Outside the Heavenly Mystery Tower, Daoist Shantian was already waiting. He had already broken through to the Yuaniing realm. Wang Daoyuan cupped his hands and said, "Congratulations on breaking through to Yuaniing, Martial Uncle Shantian. I wonder if the others have succeeded. They're all cultivators with top-notch aptitudes to begin with, and with hundreds of years of accumulation, it's naturally not a problem." Apart from Daoist Imo Lin's legendary magic weapon being damaged during the Heavenly Tribulation, there were no other losses. The suzerains of the 4 top forces, including Daoist Windwing and Daoist Ink Scales, made up 6 Tribulation Transcendence cultivators. Only Daoist Ink Scales State of Qin had the shallowest foundation. Back then, the state of Qin was just a small vassal state under the state of Zhou. The strongest cultivator they had was only a mid-stage Yuaniing cultivator. Their magic artifacts were just ordinary. Now that the legacy artifacts grade had dropped to the 4th grade, it was normal for it to be unable to withstand the lightning tribulation. It wasn't a big deal for the magic tools to be damaged. Compared to Yuaniing cultivators, level 5 magic tools were worthless. Daoist Master Xian Tian continued, "I asked you to come out of seclusion this time because there are traces of rank 5 demonic beasts in several places in the sky/mountain range. Spiritual Master Lei Yen is worried that something might happen over there and has already returned to the Divine Weapon Pavilion to oversee things. It was fine as long as the family was safe. Even if a few demonic beasts were to cause trouble in other places, they wouldn't be able to cause too much trouble." Originally, he wanted to improve his talisman crafting skills in the Heaven's Mystery Tower. However, time was tight now. He could only come back in the future. Besides, he basically had no use for talismans now, so it didn't matter if he didn't learn them for the time being. I'll take Grey Rock with me. The Black Ice Tortoise will stay here and help fend off the West Sea monster race. Daoist Xian Tian shook his head and said, the demon beasts in the West Ocean have suffered heavy losses. There won't be any big movements in the near future. Now that there were 6 Yuanian cultivators standing guard, as well as the Yin Yang Compass and the Heaven's Mystery Tower, there shouldn't be any problems for now. Take the Black Ice Tortoise with you. Back then, the Heavenly/Mountain Range was the demon race's nest. No one knows how many treasures they left behind. Maybe there will be more 5th-rank beasts. With the Ice Tortoise here, we will have one more helper. There's no need. I'm at the Heavenly/Mountain Range. The battle prowess of a Black Ice Tortoise is insignificant. I won't be staying here for long, in case anything happens at the Heavenly/Mountain Range. Goodbye. After he finished speaking, he withdrew a high-grade Grade 5 flying vessel, summoned the Grey Rock, and headed east. With the Grey Rock as a mount, there was no need to worry about the mountain range blocking the way. If they encountered the astral wind layer, they could just ride the Grey Rock and go straight through it. 5th-rank demonic beasts and Yuanian cultivators could stay in the astral winds for a long time. The Grey Rock was extremely fast, so there was no need to worry about wasting time. Soon, the flying boat arrived at the Broken Cloud Mountain on the eastern border of the state of Qin. This mountain range was also extremely tall. The peak of the mountain was deep within the astral wind layer. Putting away the flying boat, he rode the Grey Rock and flew directly to the astral wind layer. The last time he entered the astral wind layer was before leaving Beiyuan to help the Tai Sword sect repair the Tai Divine Sword. At that time, he didn't feel anything when riding the flying warship. Now riding the Grey Rock, he had a very intuitive feeling of the astral wind layer. The 9 heavens astral wind didn't have a fixed wind direction, but it changed at any time. A gust of wind blew, like countless sharp blades cutting on the body. If it wasn't a body refinement cultivator, it was impossible to guarantee that he would be unharmed in the astral wind. However, the Grey Rock didn't care. It was of the wind attribute. It could easily control the astral wind and increase its flying speed. After crossing the Broken Cloud Mountain, he put the Grey Rock into the spiritual pearl space to recover his spiritual power and took out the flying boat again. In less than 3 days, the Heavenly/Mountain Range was already in sight. He still wanted to ambush the demon race, so he put away the flying boat, hid his figure, and quietly went over. The demon race had always wanted to fish out the Yuanian fighting force from the Wang family, so Wang Daoyuan beat them at their own game. The rank 4 demon beasts were still probing the defensive formation in the distance. Some of them were even trying to go around the Wanchuan market and kill their way into Qingli County. At this moment, a long sword suddenly flew out from the Wanchuan market. A cold light flashed past, and a Hui dragon's corpse was instantly separated. The sword puppet flew out and wantonly killed the rank 4 demon beasts that dared to come ashore. More than 10 rank 4 demon beasts were quickly killed and injured. They didn't even have a chance to escape. It still didn't give up. With the long sword in hand, it charged into the Wanchuan River. No matter how reckless the rank 4 demon beasts were, they weren't fools. In front of the rank 5 puppet, they didn't even have a chance to resist. In order to save their lives, they all dived into the river. The sword puppet killed a few more rank 4 demon beasts and attacked randomly on the river surface. When it didn't have much spiritual power left, it turned and headed toward the Wanchuan market. At this moment, a waterspout suddenly surged out of the water and swept toward the sword puppet. As a battle-type puppet, the sword puppet knew some escape techniques. It turned into a sword shadow and escaped to the shore at an extremely fast speed. At this time, the spiritual power in its body was almost exhausted and it could only fall to the ground. A large eagle with a long horn on its head flew out of the river and chased after the sword puppet. It was the Chongdiao. Wang Daoyuan sneered in his heart, "It's not easy to escape from the Jingchuan River. If you directly went into the sea, no one would be able to find you. But you don't know what's good for you and came to find trouble with me." When the Chongdiao left the river surface, Wang Daoyuan used his divine ability. Countless water spiritual energy instantly condensed into a water-blue prison. The Chongdiao attacked the prison with all its might, wanting to escape. Unfortunately, its fighting ability was not very good and was completely unable to shake the black tortoise purgatory. Gui water hell flame was released and the water-blue prison was ignited in an instant, turning into a flame prison. The prison kept shrinking and soon the Chongdiao was unable to move. Wang Daoyuan didn't intend to keep this thing. The Chongdiao was originally not a strange beast that was particularly good at fighting. Other than being a little strange, it had no special value. The reason why he kept the black ice tortoise and the gray rock was because the black ice tortoise could be used as a meat shield and the gray rock was fast. Doppelgangers were limited. Demonic beasts without special value were useless. After Wang Daoyuan killed the Chongdiao, he kept it in the space of the spiritual pearl. He also picked up the exhausted sword puppet and returned to Wanchuan Market. The others were a little worried that the sword puppet's spiritual power was exhausted. Wang Daoyuan suddenly appeared and took care of the Chongdiao. Everyone was relieved and led him into the guardian residence. Wang Shi smiled. I was wondering why the sword puppet suddenly went crazy and rushed out to kill demonic beasts. So you're back. I've been on tenterhooks all this time. Now I can finally rest assured. There are now 6 nascent soul cultivators in the West Sea. I don't need to look after them for the time being. I'll continue to stay in Yen country. By the way, did anything happen in Tianzhan mountain range and Shanbei? Wang Daojian replied, everything is normal in Shanbei. The demonic beasts have retreated to the vicinity of the Arctic ice field. There are also surrendered half-demonic beasts guarding the north. Naturally, there's no problem. Tianzhan mountain range has always been guarded by 5th great uncle. He even placed the puppet there. The demonic beasts don't even have the guts to approach our Wang family's property, let alone attack. Wang Daoyuan nodded, that's good. I'm not surprised that the 12th uncle comprehended a minor divine ability. But you were able to comprehend the Guiyuan's sword intent in such a short time, which is beyond my expectations. Cultivate well and you'll be a pillar of the family in the future. It's enough to have Jia Qi and the sword puppet here. You guys spend your time on cultivation. In the future, the family will rely on you guys to support it. The 12th uncle and Wang Daojian took their leave. One returned to Yuchuan Peak and the other returned to Shanbei. After Wang Daoyuan gave the sword puppet 3 spirit gathering pearls, he rode the Grey Rock and followed the Wanchuan River to Linhai Prefecture. There were demonic beasts gathering in the sea. There might be rank 5 demonic beasts causing trouble. If he didn't deter them, they might continue to cause trouble. Chapter 8:23. With a cry of the Grey Rock, all the demonic beasts within a radius of thousands of miles fled. It only took a quarter of an hour to pass through the thousands of miles of Wanchuan River Valley. After arriving at Linhai Province, Wang Daoyuan sent a message to Gu Qingfeng, asking about the demonic beasts in the sea. Gu Qingfeng was on a small island outside the river mouth at this time. Wang Daoyuan directly commanded the Grey Rock to fly over. Before reaching the island, Gu Qingfeng came up to greet him. The Grey Rock looked around, but did not find any trace of a large group of demonic beasts. Wang Daoyuan asked, how are the demonic beasts gathering in the sea now? Gu Qingfeng looked at the huge rock with a wingspan of nearly 100 feet, and felt some fear in his heart. Trembling with fear, he replied, replying to Senior, the demonic beasts were gathering at the edge of the deep sea more than 3,000 miles east of the river mouth. Just a quarter of an hour ago, these demonic beasts began to disperse. I don't know what happened, so I observed nearby. Near the Wanchuan River mouth, more than 3,000 miles away from the river mouth, the seabed suddenly dropped, and the depth of the sea rose from about 10,000 feet to 40 to 50,000 feet. If the demonic beasts entered the deep sea, Wang Daoyuan did not dare to rashly enter the sea to investigate. Last time, the 5th grade old tortoise dared to appear in the shallow sea, and was directly killed by him. This time, the demonic beasts learned their lesson and hid at the edge of the deep sea. Once attacked, they could quickly escape into the deep sea. Not long after the Chongjiao was killed at Wanchuan Market, the demonic beasts here fled. It seemed that the demonic beasts at Wanchuan River had some connection with the demonic beasts here. Where did these demonic beasts flee to? Gu Qingfeng replied, all the demonic beasts fled along the edge of the deep sea towards the north. My strength is low, and I did not dare to provoke them, so I just watched from afar. Wang Daoyuan's heart sank. It seemed that there was trouble in the sea again. If this group of demonic beasts obeyed the Chongjiao, then when the Chongjiao died, the monkeys would scatter. Fourth-grade demonic beasts usually fought with each other very fiercely. If there was no fifth-grade demonic beast suppressing them, even if there was no serious internal strife, they would definitely scatter and flee. Now that the demonic beasts were heading north, there was definitely another fifth-grade demonic beast behind them. Wang Daoyuan thought for a moment and said, you go back first. I'll go explore the sea. After saying that, he headed northwest. The gray rock's speed was far superior to other demonic beasts of the same rank. It was impossible for rank 4 demonic beasts in the sea to escape from the gray rock. A quarter of an hour later, Wang Daoyuan found traces of the demonic beasts. As soon as he discovered the group of demonic beasts, they immediately changed their direction and fled towards the deep sea in the east. Wang Daoyuan was still 2,000 miles away from them, so he couldn't attack them. Looking towards the north, there was a boundless fog that covered the sky and covered the sun. That was the Mirage Fog Sea. The demonic beasts were heading north, most likely to escape into the Mirage Fog Sea. After all, Wang Daoyuan had traveled to the sea before. Only the Mirage Sea near Beiyuan was a little strange. The person who controlled these rank 4 demonic beasts was most likely from the Mirage Fog Sea. When he killed Long Yuntian at the Zijin River branch, he speculated that the nest of the Valley of Beasts was hidden in the Mirage Fog Sea. Then these rank 5 demonic beasts were most likely the descendants of the spirit beasts raised in the Valley of Beasts. The spirit beasts raised in the Valley of Beasts were all strange and strange. There was no lack of divine beasts. If a rank 5 demonic beast appeared among the descendants of this group, their strength couldn't be underestimated. He still didn't know what dangers were hidden in the Mirage Fog Sea. Now that there were traces of rank 5 demonic beasts in many places, he didn't dare to explore the Mirage Fog Sea rashly. He was just in time for the spirit chi to recover and the demonic beasts to awaken. If he was trapped inside and new demonic beasts were to appear, his family would be in danger. The demonic beasts fled into the deep sea, and there was no point in continuing to chase them. He gave up and returned to Linhai State. After informing Gu Qingfeng, he left Linhai State. Wang Mingshen brought many officials of the Yan State to welcome him in Qingli City. After all, he left this time to go to the West Sea to resist the demon race. He killed 8 rank 5 demonic beasts and even captured one alive. This was also a victorious return. Wang Daoyuan also landed outside the south gate of Qingli City. Wang Mingshen had already brought the officials to welcome him outside the city gate. The moment he landed, everyone bowed and said, "Welcome back, retired emperor." Following that, there were even musicians playing music and imperial chariots accompanying. This set of things had the flavor of the Zhou state. It was most likely from the Zhou state. However, this system was also not bad. Since he established a country and declared himself an emperor, his status was also recognized by the 4 top factions. Some rules still had to be established. Wang Daoyuan entered the palace city under everyone's escort and came to the imperial extreme hall in the center of the palace city to receive the officials' congratulations. After a long time, the officials dispersed. Wang Daoyuan followed Wang Mingshen to take a look at the spirit vein of Qingli City. Before heading to the West Sea, this place was already a rank 3 high-grade spirit vein. Now that a few months had passed, the spirit chi concentration had increased further. It wasn't far from rank 4 low-grade. After checking around here, they left Qingli City and returned to Jade Spring Peak. After returning to the underground cave abode, Zhou Wan did not have much joy. Instead, her face was full of worry. Wang Daoyuan hurriedly asked, "Lord Hall Master, what's wrong?" News came from Blood Shadow's headquarters. There's a rank 5 demonic beast appearing near the headquarters. They're asking me for help right now. Hearing this, Wang Daoyuan was amused. Isn't this a good thing? We've always wanted to subdue Blood Shadow, but we didn't have the time and didn't have a good opportunity either. Now that Blood Shadow's side is asking for help, our side can take advantage of their difficulties. I'll give a call to Master again and let them ignore Blood Shadow's request for help. When Blood Shadow is at the end of the road, whatever price we offer, they'll agree. Zhou Wan glanced at him. My father also had a few good friends in Blood Shadow back then. Among them, there's one called Jianghu who's now peak golden core cultivation. In Blood Shadow, his status isn't low either. Before, I was able to become the Hall Master of a rank 1 branch and can freely appoint a rank 2 branch Hall Master. Uncle Zhang also contributed a lot. Although he's quite talented, he was promoted from the middle ranks after all. He doesn't have much foundation in Blood Shadow's upper ranks. Now, Elder Su and the other Blood Shadow's upper ranks are pressuring him, forcing him to ask for help from us. If we just sit back and watch, Elder Su and the others might do something to Jianghu. Wang Daoyuan was somewhat curious and asked, what, Elder Su isn't dead yet? Long before he went to the Sea of 7 Stars, he heard that Elder Su didn't have long to live. Several decades had passed, but this old guy was still alive. His old life doesn't have many years left, but his ambition isn't small. He still wants to hold on until rank 5 spiritual energy appears. Then, he'll try again and see if he can break through to Yuanying. Wang Daoyuan sneered. This old thing really thinks a lot. After tricking my father-in-law to death, he still wants to break through to Yuanying. If it weren't for the rampant demon beasts and my hands being tied, I would have killed this old guy long ago. If he was smart, he would have killed himself as soon as he knew about our relationship and hid the talented disciples of the Su family. At the very least, he would have left some descendants. Now, he dares to turn around and disgust us. Does he think his neck is harder than my sword? After saying that, he took out the Shanbei Branch Vice Hall Master token and sent a letter to Elder Su. The content was very simple. You killed my father-in-law and now you dare to threaten my wife. Is the Su family ready to be exiled to the West Sea? With Blood Shadow's intelligence network, the situation in the West Sea naturally couldn't be hidden from them. The spiritual energy in the coastal waters was somewhat violent. Ordinary people and low-level cultivators couldn't survive at all. In addition, there were a large number of rank 4 demon beasts and some rank 5 demon beasts. The Su family didn't even have any Yuanying cultivators. There was absolutely no hope of passing down the family. He showed the content of the letter to Zhou Wan. Zhou Wan said, this letter of yours is probably going to scare Elder Su to death. Even if he still has a breath left, he'll run over and beg for mercy. Chapter 824. After Zhou Wan made a public appearance in the Wang clan, Blood Shadow had not made a statement. In terms of intelligence and status, there was no difference from before. She could still receive all kinds of information from Blood Shadow. According to Blood Shadow's information, rank 5 monsters had appeared in several places near the Heaven/Mountain range. There were none in the Zhao Kingdom, but in the northeast of the Qi Kingdom to the south, the Small Hu Kingdom to the south, and the Wu Kingdom even further south. There were traces of rank 5 monsters near the Heaven/Mountain range. In the northeast of the southern wasteland near Blood Shadow, 2 rank 5 monsters were the most rampant. They directly attacked Blood Shadow's property. One of them was a blood-eyed golden-winged tiger, while the other was a wolf. According to the information, this guy had some kind of fortuitous encounter that allowed him to awaken the bloodline of the primordial moonhowl wolf. He was no weaker than a blood-eyed golden-winged tiger. Neither of these monsters had low cultivations. They were both mid-rank rank 5 monsters. The 3 monsters that had appeared in the Alliance's territory had been hiding all this time. No one had seen them in detail. There was no need to worry about this for now. The 3 monsters in the Alliance's territory most likely knew that there were Yuanying cultivators on the human side. They were also probing to see how deep the water was. Demonic beasts were also close friends. The news of Wang Daoyuan massacring the demonic beasts in Wanchuanhe would soon spread. As long as those monsters wanted to live, they would not easily attack. Moreover, these rank 5 monsters fought independently. They were not like the humans, who had a unified command. Thus, the damage they could cause could not compare to that of the West Sea. After this round of counseling, Zhou Wan's mood improved greatly. Wang Daoyuan pulled her into his arms. How about we discuss Ergu's matter again? Zhou Wan pinched his waist. The monsters are rampant. You might need to go out at any time to quell them. I still have to help you watch over the clan. The West Sea was the end of the world. There were rank 5 monsters causing trouble there. The Arctic ice plains was not a good place either. There were endless ice plains there. Many demonic beasts had the ability to enter hibernation to prolong their lifespan, so it was not strange for rank 5 demonic beasts to appear. You've obtained so many benefits from the Heavenly Mystery Tower this time. If you don't hurry up and digest them and raise your strength as soon as possible, how can you have the time to think about these things? Since Zhou Wan did not agree, Wang Daoyuan could do nothing about it. 5th rank monstrous beasts don't pose much of a threat to me. Even if it's a peak 5th rank monstrous beast, I can still handle it. I'm just worried that a rank 6 demonic beast might appear. I'm not a match for a rank 6 demonic beast. After all, 20,000 years ago, true Lord 100 spirits almost broke through to the divine transformation stage. This means that a 6th order demonic beast could have appeared in the same era. Zhou Wan shook her head and said, you don't have to worry about that. Ever since the formation of Tianyuan Abyss, the quality of the spiritual energy in Beiyuan Xiuxian has been declining. Under such circumstances, demonic beasts of the same rank had a long lifespan, which gave them a huge advantage. The ancestors of the human race had long been prepared. When they had nothing to do, they would sweep through the demon race and kill those rank 6 demon beasts. If it weren't for the demonic chaos more than 10,000 years ago, which caused the Yuanian to be wiped out, these rank 5 demon beasts wouldn't be left. Even if there were still rank 6 demon beasts left, there were very few of them. Moreover, even if they could survive until now, they must be in a state of hibernation. The hibernation of demon beasts was not without a price. It required a large amount of true essence, qi, and blood. After waking up, they would need a huge amount of spiritual energy to recover. Now that the rank 5 spirit vein had not appeared yet, the cultivation speed of the Yuanian cultivators and rank 5 demon beasts had been seriously affected by the lack of rank 4 spiritual energy. When a rank 6 demon beast woke up and relied on rank 4 spiritual energy to recover, it would not be able to exert the power comparable to a divine transformation stage cultivator without a few hundred years. It's hard to say whether it's a match for you. After a few hundred years, will you still be afraid of these rank 6 demon beasts? Hearing this, Wang Daoyuan was relieved. If a rank 6 demon beast suddenly appeared, even if it was only at the early stage of the 6th rank, he would not be able to deal with it. When that time came, he could only use the space of the spiritual pearl to take the core members of his family and escape to the Sea of 7 Stars. He had obtained many inheritances in the Heavenly Mystery Tower and had to use them as soon as possible. Especially the rank 5 Spirit Gathering Pearl. If he could install it on the puppet could use its full strength for 5 times longer. With the strength of a rank 5 puppet, it would not be a problem for it to kill hundreds of rank 4 demon beasts in more than an hour. After the improvement of the Spirit Gathering Pearl, there were no more layers. It only needed rank 5 Spirit Jades. Wang Daoyuan also had some of them. It was not a problem for him to make dozens of Spirit Gathering Pearls. Without many layers of patterns, it would save more time to make them. Although the improved law pattern was more difficult to inscribe, a few days would be enough. A month later, Wang Daoyuan made 6 rank 5 Spirit Gathering Pearls. At this moment, someone from the Wanchuan market asked to see him. The person was wearing a black robe and his face was covered. He was a half-step Yuanian cultivator and used a concealment secret technique. Ordinary people would not be able to find him. He came outside the Wan Chuan market and deliberately revealed a trace of spiritual power to let Jia Qi find him. After Wang Daoyuan received the news, he used his panoramic perception clone. He asked, "Who are you? Why are you here?" The black-robed man replied, "Junior Blood Shadow Su Boyu requests to see the retired emperor of the Yan Kingdom." This guy was Zhou Wan's sworn enemy, Elder Su. It seemed that the previous threat was useful. This guy really came to beg for mercy. Of course, this matter could not be let go so easily. Jia Qi used his divine sense to lead him to the guardian residence. "Wait here first. The retired emperor will be here soon." Wang Daoyuan, who was in the underground cave, asked Zhou Wan, "That old guy surnamed Su is here. Do you want to come with me to see?" Zhou Wan's face showed hatred and said coldly, "Why shouldn't I go? He killed my father and sent me to Shanbei for hundreds of years. I want to see if he has the face to beg for mercy." The two rode the gray rock and arrived at the Wanchuan market in just over 2 hours. They entered the guardian residence's meeting hall and sat down on the main seat. Su Boyu quickly got up and bowed. Sinner Su Boyu greets the retired emperor and the empress dowager. Wang Daoyuan glanced at him and said, "I say, Elder Su, your courage is really not ordinary. You know Zhou Wan is my Dao companion and you dare to use Zhang Yu to force her to go to the Blood Shadow headquarters. Do you think I'm soft-hearted or won't kill?" Su Boyu trembled in fear. "I'm here to ask for forgiveness. I've committed a heinous crime and I dare not live an ignoble life. I just want to beg the retired emperor and the empress dowager to be merciful and leave the Su family a root. The entire Su family is willing to be slaves to atone for our sins." Wang Daoyuan glanced at Zhou Wan. "The Su family killed your father and bullied you for more than 100 years. We'll leave the Su family to you. We'll do whatever you say." Zhou Wan snorted. "Your grandson was incompetent and wasn't my opponent. Why can't I beat him? The Su family is tyrannical and wants to suppress me because of this. Your grandson's talent can only be considered second-rate among the blood wolves, and his character has no redeeming qualities. He's jealous of talents and womanizing. He's also a coward. You want to marry me with this kind of trash? You sent me to the north of the mountain, and I have to thank you. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have met Dao Yuan, and I wouldn't have had the chance to cultivate to the Yuanying realm. I can forgive you for suppressing me, but you shouldn't have killed my father. The hatred of killing one's father is irreconcilable. You killed my father, but I won't take my anger out on the entire Su family. Those who participated in my father's death will all be executed. The others can continue to stay in the blood shadow, but if they conspire again, it'll be a disaster for the entire family." He thought it would be good enough to leave a bloodline inheritance, but he didn't expect Zhou Wan to only deal with the enemies who killed her father. Su Boyu hurriedly bowed. "Thank you, Empress Dowager, for showing mercy. Thank you, retired emperor. The Su family is willing to serve retired emperor and empress dowager. If there's any disobedience, may the heavens punish us." Chapter 825. Wang Daoyuan didn't speak directly. Zhou Wan snorted coldly, "You have to let the Su family remember this sentence. I can let you go once, but I won't let you go a second time." Su Boyu hurriedly cupped his hands and said, "Don't worry, Empress Dowager. I have a suggestion. Blood Shadow is now threatened by the Demon Clan. If the Supreme Emperor can solve the Demon Clan, the Su family is willing to protect the Empress Dowager as the Shadow Lord." After the Empress Dowager broke through the Yuanying realm, there were some voices inside the Blood Shadow that supported the Empress Dowager to be the Shadow Lord. It's just that their power is too small to make the decision. Now that the Su family is also supporting it, the probability of success is very high. Although the Blood Shadow is not a permanent Shadow Lord, the Great Elder usually presides over the affairs, and the elders discuss and make decisions. But now that there has been a big change, no one dares to say anything about the establishment of the Shadow Lord. As the only Yuanying cultivator in the Blood Shadow, the Empress Dowager should be the Shadow Lord. Su Boyu looked at the faces of Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan. Seeing that they didn't have much reaction, he was relieved. Forgive me for being blunt. Although the Wang family has been recognized by the four top forces and guards the sky beheading mountain range, the Wang family's foundation is still too shallow. The Supreme Emperor can kill Qiong Qi and Snake Xiu of the 5th rank upper grade. His strength is indeed the best in Beiyuan, and the Wang family has also obtained a lot of inheritance. But in terms of the number of cultivators and the system of cultivating cultivators, the Wang family is probably at the level of a small country like Qing state, or even worse. If the Empress Dowager enters the Blood Shadow, the Wang family will be able to enter the upper echelons of the Blood Shadow. Although the strength and foundation of the Blood Shadow are inferior to the four top forces, the founder of the Blood Shadow is also a Mahayana cultivator. After tens of thousands of years of development, there is also a perfect inheritance system. The disciples of the Wang family enter the Blood Shadow and use this perfect system to cultivate their own disciples. It only takes a few hundred years to make up for the shortcomings of the inheritance system. Not to say that it can catch up with the four top forces, at least it can be compared with the Qin state. The Wang family is backed by the sky beheading mountain range and suppressing the demon clan, so it has sufficient resources and space for development. After a few more generations, they will eventually catch up with the top forces and become the true master of the East. Wang Daoyuan thought to himself, this elder Su is indeed a shrewd person. He almost guessed my family's plan. The people who had participated in the murder of his father-in-law must have been the core of the Su family. After this purge, the Su family's power would suffer a heavy blow. In the past, when he was in the limelight, he had done many tyrannical things. Now that they had declined, there would definitely be people who would take revenge on them. If they allowed the other factions to suppress them, even if the Su family did not perish, they might not be able to recover. Pulling the Wang family into the Blood Shadow, the Su family became a vassal of the Wang family. The Wang clan's foundation was too shallow, and they didn't have enough manpower. It was impossible for them to invest too many people into Blood Shadow. If he wanted to be in power, he would have to use other forces. By relying on the Wang clan, the Su clan could still maintain a relatively high status. Although she had seen through Su Boyu's cunning mind, this was also human nature. Furthermore, Su Boyu's plan would only benefit the Wang clan. This was originally the Wang clan's established strategy. With the Su clan's cooperation, it would be much easier in the beginning. As for the future, he had the space and the spirit pearl in his hands, and he definitely did not lack all kinds of important resources. With enough important resources and a vast space for development, the Wang clan's future development speed would far surpass the other forces. When he had a few more Yuanian cultivators in his family, he would not need to be afraid of anyone. This matter concerned the future direction of the Wang clan, so Zhou Wan did not make the decision. Wang Daoyuan pretended to be deep in thought, while Su Boyu was so nervous that he was sweating. This was the Su clan's only way to preserve their vitality. If they could not grasp it, the Su clan would completely decline. After a long time, Wang Daoyuan nodded. Elder Su's plan is very tempting. You're right. The Wang clan's biggest shortcoming is the inheritance system. If we can let our clansmen enter the Blood Shadow, it will indeed be very beneficial to the Wang clan's development. However, the Su clan's people who killed my father-in-law still have to die. Hearing this, Elder Su was overjoyed. I dare not drag out an ignoble existence. If the retired emperor and the Empress Dowager can give the Su clan a chance, I am already very grateful. Wang Daoyuan asked again, what do you think about the Blood Shadow's request for help? Elder Su replied, in reply to the retired emperor, I think there is no need to deal with this matter so quickly. The Blood Shadow's headquarters is guarded by treasures left behind from the Antiquity Age. Without the strength of a peak Yuaniing, it is impossible to break through. Although a rank 5 demonic beast is powerful, it is not enough to break the Blood Shadow's inheritance. In my opinion, we should delay for a while and let the Blood Shadow lose more assets. When the various elders feel the pinch, they will naturally make greater concessions, and the Empress Dowager will have less resistance to becoming the Shadow Master. This was also expected. The archaic mysteries sect had the heavenly mystery pagoda, which a Yuanian could not break through. The treasure cauldron mountain of the divine weapon pavilion and the sword-like mountain of the Tai sword sect were not ordinary objects. They should have the same function as the heavenly mystery pagoda. Although the Blood Shadow's foundation was not as strong as the four great powers, it still had this bit of foundation. If not for the fact that Wang Daoyuan displayed the strength of a peak Yuanying, Su Boyu would not have come to beg for mercy. The three of them talked for a long time before Su Boyu left satisfied. Zhou Wan then said, "Looks like all treacherous villains are the same. You and Su Boyu have the same thoughts." Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "This is called great minds think alike. It is just that Su Boyu is still lacking. He likes to scheme too much, and his methods are too different. Only by using both yin and yang can he be a qualified leader. Although I use schemes too, without enough benefits, I will definitely not do it. Even if I do, there will definitely be someone to take the blame. For example, back then when I schemed against the Meng clan, it was the Liang clan who took the blame. Now that the Yan kingdom is recognized by the four great powers, I fought for it openly. The conflict between you and the Su clan is just a small matter. Su Boyu is too narrow-minded. For a bit of face, he openly used underhanded methods. This is a mixture of yin and yang. Neither of them is right. Even if I did not stir up the situation, the Su clan would not have gained any benefits. They invested a lot of resources and damaged the Su clan's reputation. They did not gain any real benefits and even caused the Blood Shadow to be dissatisfied. This is the difference between a person's mindset and a person's mindset. If you only have wisdom and no mindset, you are not qualified to be a leader. Zhou Wan glanced at him and said, "Treacherous villains are birds of a feather, and you still say it so righteously." Wang Daoyuan was thick-skinned enough to not care about Zhou Wan's ridicule. He replaced the sword puppet with a rank 5 spirit-gathering pearl and gave the improved cultivation technique to Jia Qi. Then, he returned to Jade Spring Peak with Zhou Wan. The other close combat puppet was also replaced with a rank 5 spirit-gathering pearl. For the time being, there was no need to refine a magic tool. He would refine the 9 Deaths Soul Return pill in the cave abode under Jade Spring Peak and strive to raise his alchemy level to rank 5 middle grade as soon as possible. At that time, he would be able to refine the nascent cultivating pill by himself. The spiritual energy in Beiyuan was thin, and his cultivation speed would be greatly affected. He didn't plan to go to the Sea of 7 Stars for the time being. If he wanted to maintain his cultivation speed, the nascent cultivating pill was essential. After refining pills for half a year on Jade Spring Peak, news came from Blood Shadow again. Elder Su sent a message saying that the 2 rank 5 demonic beasts were increasingly rampant. They gathered a large number of rank 4 demonic beasts and vicious beasts in the southern wasteland and sky/mountain range and wantonly besieged Blood Shadow's industries. In this half a year, Blood Shadow had lost more than 20 industries, more than 10 golden core cultivators, and more than 1,000 Zifu cultivators and below. Now, those old fellows couldn't hold on any longer. Blood Shadow's current Grand Elder, Zhang Dingming, planned to come personally and ask Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan to help. The 2 biggest forces in Blood Shadow were the Zhang clan and the Su clan. The ancestors of these 2 clans were the ones who established Blood Shadow back then. After tens of thousands of years, Blood Shadow was still under the control of these 2 clans. The Su clan was already willing to submit. If the Zhang clan also agreed, Zhou Wan would definitely become Blood Shadow's leader. Chapter 826. Su Boyu worked very hard to curry favor with the Wang family, and his message was very accurate. 10 days after he sent the message, Zhang Dingming came to Wanchuan Market and asked to see Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan. This guy's appearance was not bad. He wore a white Daoist robe, and his hair and beard were all white. His long eyebrows reached his temples, and his long beard fluttered in the wind. He looked like an immortal. He didn't look much different from a cultivator from a righteous sect. It was hard to imagine that such a kind old man was the leader of the #1 assassin organization in Beiyuan. Different from Su Boyu's visit, this was a discussion between the leaders of two major forces, so it was naturally more formal. Wanchuan Market sent a flying boat to send Zhang Dingming to Yuchuan Peak. Then, Wang Mingshan personally led him to the auditorium, where Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan were already seated. Zhang Dingming bowed as soon as he entered the auditorium. Blood Shadow Grand Elder Zhang Dingming greets Yan country's retired emperor and empress. Now, there are 5th-ranked demonic beasts running amok near Blood Shadow. I hope Empress Dowager can save the cultivators of Blood Shadow for the sake of being from Blood Shadow. We will be deeply grateful. This Grand Elder was really slippery. His mouth was full of beautiful words, but he didn't show any practical expression. Wang Daoyuan sighed. Zhang Daoyu came at a bad time. Half a year ago, there were 5th-ranked demonic beasts causing trouble in Wanchuan Market. At that time, there were hundreds of demonic beasts gathered in the outer sea of Linhai State. There might be 5th-ranked demonic beasts hiding in the dark. There were traces of 5th-ranked demonic beasts in Qi, Hu, and Wu. Yan country was recognized by the 4 top forces and replaced the Valley of Beasts to guard the east of the human race. These 3 countries were attacked by demonic beasts, so I naturally have to take care of them. I'm really tied up with business and can't leave. Although Blood Shadow is also a human force, it has never been under the jurisdiction of the 4 top forces. During the demonic chaos in the southern wasteland, you didn't respond to the conscription order of the 4 top forces. Yan country guards the east, so we naturally don't need to care about Blood Shadow. Blood Shadow is also a great force that has been around for tens of thousands of years. 2 rank 5 demonic beasts should still be able to deal with them. These words of his blocked Zhang Dingming's words. Back then, when the humankind was in the most dangerous situation, Blood Shadow didn't respond to the summons, because he didn't consider himself a member of the humankind. If a non-human force asked for help, even if they didn't, no one could say anything. Zhang Dingming had wanted to talk about the greater good of the human race, but he couldn't bring himself to say it now. As for the relationship between Zhou Wan and Blood Shadow, when the Su family suppressed her back then, the Zhang family definitely had the ability to stop them. However, they did not make a move and allowed the Su family to run amok. After Zhou Wan broke through to the Jindan stage, she was given a little more power. It was not worth such a big help. Moreover, they were 2 5th-order mid-tier demonic beasts with extraordinary strength. Zhou Wan made a move, but it was useless. He still had to use his relationship with Zhou Wan to get Wang Daoyuan to make a move. Wang Daoyuan was not a direct descendant of Blood Shadow, and he didn't have any relatives at the Blood Shadow headquarters. Zhang Dingming knew that he was in the wrong, but he couldn't find a reason to get Wang Daoyuan to help. After a long silence, he sighed. The Empress Dowager is still the Hall Master of the Blood Shadow Mountain's North First Branch. She grew up in the Blood Wolves and is also a direct descendant of Blood Shadow. According to Blood Shadow's rules, a direct descendant who has reached the half-Yuanying realm is qualified to become the Blood Shadow Great Elder. Now that the Empress Dowager is already a Yuanying realm cultivator, there is nothing wrong with her being the Great Elder. I'm useless. I've been the Great Elder for more than 400 years. And now I'm at my wit's end because of the demonic beasts. I'm willing to step down and let the Empress Dowager be the Great Elder of Blood Shadow. Old Zhang wanted to take a step back, but he hadn't done so yet. In Blood Shadow, the Shadow Master was the Emperor, and he could decide everything. The Great Elder's position was much lower. Although he had the highest authority and could order anyone in Blood Shadow to do something, he didn't have the authority to do it. When he wanted to make a decision, it had to be discussed with the other elders. The decision could only be made if the majority of the elders agreed. Moreover, the elders had the authority to dismiss the Great Elder, but they didn't have the authority to dismiss the Shadow Master. Zhou Wan was also a shrewd person. Naturally, she wouldn't be fooled by this little trick. The Great Elder is a person of virtue and prestige. You've been conscientious for hundreds of years and have managed Blood Shadow well. I've always stayed in the wilderness north of the mountain and have never held a post in Blood Shadow's headquarters. How could I dare to ask the Great Elder to step down? Moreover, I'm only a Yuaniing realm cultivator. Even if I borrowed the Phoenix flag, the Zhou dynasty's heirloom, I'm not a match for two mid-tier 5th-ranked demonic beasts. Since Zhou Wan was playing the good cop, Wang Daoyuan naturally played the bad cop. Zhou Wan's cultivation is still shallow. She can't deal with mid-tier 5th-ranked demonic beasts. No matter what, I won't let her go to the southern wasteland alone. I suggest that you shrink your manpower and stay in the headquarters. With the protection of the formation, you don't have to be afraid of the demonic beasts. When I find out all the demonic beasts hidden in the Sky Mountain Range and the East Sea, I'll go to the southern wasteland to help you. Hearing this, Zhang Dingming immediately became anxious. The Sky Mountain Range was the main spiritual vein of Beiyuan. No one knew how many secret realms it gave birth to. Not to mention the sea further east. It was boundless. Who knew how many demonic beasts were hidden there? It was impossible to solve all the demonic beasts in such a large area without hundreds of years. Blood Shadow had been blocked by demonic beasts in the headquarters for hundreds of years. The branches in various places had long been out of control. Blood Shadow was different from other forces. It was strong in the intelligence system in various places. Once the branches in various places were out of control, the intelligence system would be useless. Without the intelligence system, Blood Shadow was worse than the Zhou dynasty. It was only a little stronger than the Qin dynasty. In the past, Blood Shadow had offended many other forces. If it was only a little stronger than the Qin dynasty, it couldn't deter other forces at all. It was only a matter of time before it was destroyed. Wang Daoyuan was clearly telling him that the price was too low. The Wang family didn't want this thing. Either give a satisfactory answer, or wait for death. Zhang Dingming sighed at the side, but there was nothing he could do. Blood Shadow needed help from others. In addition to the Great Elder, Blood Shadow also has the position of Shadow Master. The Shadow Master is the master of Blood Shadow, just like an emperor. Only those who have made great contributions to Blood Shadow, have high cultivation, and have the support of the public can take the position. In tens of thousands of years, the number of Shadow Masters that Blood Shadow has produced can be counted on one hand. Now, as the only Yuanian cultivator in Blood Shadow, the Empress Dowager's cultivation is naturally enough. If she can solve the demonic beasts, she will have made great contributions. To elect the Shadow Master, 2/3 of Blood Shadow's cultivators need to agree. My Zhang family's power accounts for about 1/3 of Blood Shadow's power. The Su family's power is about the same as the Zhang family's. As long as we can persuade the Su family, we can elect the Empress Dowager as the Shadow Master. It's just that the Su family has a grudge with the Empress Dowager. My Zhang family's agreement may not be effective. It seemed that Zhang Dingming still didn't know about the Su family. Su Boyu's method of secrecy was quite good. Zhang Dingming was willing to compromise, most likely because he knew that the Su family wouldn't agree. As long as the Grand Elder says so, I can help Blood Shadow deal with the demonic beasts. But after killing the demonic beasts, if the Zhang family goes back on their word, then I'll try to see if my strength is enough to overturn Blood Shadow's legacy magic weapon. Zhang Dingming was a little surprised that Wang Daoyuan agreed so readily. He hadn't agreed for a long time, but now he suddenly agreed. It was completely out of his expectations. Don't worry, Grand Emperor. As long as we can deal with the demonic beasts, my Zhang family will unanimously elect the Empress Dowager as the Shadow Master. We won't go back on our word. With this promise, Wang Daoyuan was relieved. The Su family was more proactive than the Zhang family. Even if Zhang Dingming dared to go back on his word, the Su family would cooperate with him to deal with him. The Wang family didn't care if Blood Shadow was torn apart. It was fine if they could subdue a part of it. In that case, in half a month, Zhou Wan and I will go to Blood Shadow's headquarters to deal with those demonic beasts. With Wang Daoyuan's promise, Zhang Dingming's face lit up with joy. Thank you, Grand Emperor. Thank you, Empress Dowager. This old man will welcome the two of you at Blood Shadow's headquarters. After discussing the important matters, there was nothing left to talk about. Zhang Dingming quickly took his leave. Chapter 827. After sending Zhang Dingming away, the two returned to the underground cave. Wang Daoyuan took out a beast skin book that was not very thick. After the Heavenly/Mountain Range's spirit vein reaches the 5th rank, many golden core cultivators will break through. At that time, it will be difficult for your cultivation to intimidate the Blood Shadow people. If the Su family causes any trouble again, they will join forces with the Zhang family to make you a mere figurehead. You only have the empty title of Shadow Master, and our efforts will be in vain. This is the doppelganger soul nurturing technique cultivated by the 10,000 Corpse Daoist Master. I went to the Sea of 7 Stars and found a complete one. It won't affect me too much. You should cultivate as soon as possible and condense 2 split souls. After I subdue the 2 5th rank monsters, you can refine them into doppelgangers. With 2 powerful 5th rank monsters, the Su family will definitely not dare to rebel. You can also borrow the Su family's power to suppress the Zhang family's counterattack. After our Wang family's disciples slowly enter the Blood Shadow and cultivate their power, it will be stable. The weakness of this secret technique in the areas that need attention are all in here. You should cultivate as soon as possible. Zhou Wan took the beast skin book and returned to his room to cultivate. Since he was about to go to the southern wasteland, he did not continue to refine pills. He only took a nascent cultivating pill and operated his cultivation method to improve his cultivation. Half a month passed quickly, and it was time to leave. Wang Daoyuan asked Zhou Wan, Hall Master, have you finished cultivating this secret technique? Zhou Wan replied, I have already started. The 2 split souls have also been condensed, but they have not been nourished yet. Wang Daoyuan took out a 3-inch tall jade bottle from the spiritual pearl space and handed it to Zhou Wan. This is the nectar of the 7-leaf ghost face flower. It has a great effect on nourishing the split soul and can also improve the cultivation of the divine sense. Zhou Wan was a little surprised. He had naturally heard of the 7-leaf ghost face flower. He was also well aware of the preciousness of this nectar. He did not expect Wang Daoyuan to take out so much. There were at least 40 to 50 drops of nectar in the jade bottle. I heard that the nectar of the 7-leaf ghost face flower can quickly restore the power of the divine sense. You often fight, so you should keep it. You only need 1 or 2 drops to nourish your divided soul. Wang Daoyuan waved his hand and said, no need, I don't lack these things. After saying that, he took out a few more jade bottles filled with flower dew. Zhou Wan felt relieved and accepted the jade bottle. Wang Daoyuan left the Hui Peng at the Jade Spring Peak to guard against the appearance of rank 5 demonic beasts in the northern part of the mountain and the sky/mountain range. The gray rock had grown up at the end of the West Sea. The environment there was extremely harsh, and those who could survive there were not simple people. In terms of strength, they were much stronger than demonic beasts of the same level. With the gray rock around, even if there were rank 5 demonic beasts courting death, they would not be its match. Subsequently, he and Zhou Wan boarded a high-grade 5th-order flying boat and headed to the southern wasteland. Along the way, he didn't stay idle. He specifically went to a few places where rank 5 demonic beasts appeared. He killed a few rank 4 demonic beasts to intimidate them. Of course, this was also for the smaller countries to see. The Yen country was now a major force guarding the east. The country built by humans was threatened by demonic beasts, so he had to show his existence. 2 days later, the flying boat arrived at the edge of the southern wasteland. This place was similar to the Mingsha Plain in the southern part of the Treasure Cauldron Mountain. There was also a place where body refinement cultivators and itinerant cultivators mainly lived. It was called the Jade Wave Sea. This was not a sea, nor was there a particularly large lake. Instead, there were many mountain ranges. It was just that near the sky/mountain range, there were many rivers that converged into small lakes in the mountains. Half of the mountains and the other half were mixed together. The itinerant cultivators here simply called this place a sea. The Blood Shadow headquarters was located in the south of the Jade Wave Sea. There was a rank 5 formation that could soften the violent spirit chi. Being in the southern wasteland, it would not be affected too much. The flying boat continued to fly south for 50,000 to 60,000 kilometers. In front of them was a valley. In the middle of the valley was a small river that flowed north into the Jade Wave Sea. This was the location of the Blood Shadow headquarters. The Blood Shadow had always been dedicated to hiding, so much so that even this valley did not have a name. The flying boat landed in the middle of the valley. Two white-haired old men appeared out of thin air. They were Zhang Dingming and Su Boyu. The two bowed. "Greetings, Emperor Emeritus and Empress Dowager." Zhang Dingming continued, "Emperor Emeritus and Empress Dowager, please enter the headquarters for a chat." Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan nodded and followed the two to the cliff on the side of the valley. Arriving in front of the cliff, Zhang Dingming took out a blood jade token. Under the activation of spirit chi, a blood-red light appeared. A door appeared on the cliff, and the four walked in. The location of the Blood Shadow headquarters was a bit similar to the Blood Demon City that Wang Daoyuan had been to back then. Both were built in natural karst caves, and the space was expanded everywhere. After walking in the karst cave for an hour, they arrived in front of a tall stone door. After entering the stone door, the scene inside made their eyes light up. The inside was similar to the Heavenly Demon City. Except for the rock layer above instead of the sky, it was not much different from the outside world. There were also mountains, rivers, grass, trees, birds, and beasts. It was just that the outside was protected by a formation, and the spirit chi inside was very gentle. On the rock above, there was something emitting sunlight. Using his divine sense, he found that it was a pearl about a foot in diameter, and there was a soul inside. The aura emitted by this soul was similar to the red-winged crow, and it should have the bloodline of the golden crow. This pearl was at least a high-grade tier 4 magic tool, and it was very effective against demons and demonic cultivators, but it was placed here to illuminate. The entire underground headquarters was more than 1,000 miles wide, and there was a peak tier 4 spirit vein underground. The important institutions of the Blood Shadow were all set up in the center of the underground space. There was a 50-square-mile city there, and there was a large hall in the center of the city. This was where the elders discussed matters, and also the highest authority of the Blood Shadow. Zhang Dingming cupped his hands and said, "Emperor Emeritus and Empress Dowager have traveled hundreds of thousands of miles, and I have already prepared cave residences for the two of you. It won't be too late to take care of the demon beasts after resting for a few days. If the two of you need anything, feel free to ask." Wang Daoyuan did not have any objections. At this time, the elders were the ones who were anxious. The longer they delayed, the more anxious they would be. Zhou Wan shook her head. "There's nothing I need. I've left this place for more than 300 years, so I'll just look around. You can go do your own things. I also grew up here, so I'm very familiar with this place." Zhang Dingming and Su Boyu returned to the discussion hall to deal with the affairs of the Blood Shadow. Zhou Wan brought Wang Daoyuan around the city for a stroll. As they walked, she talked about her childhood, appearing to be very happy. In the end, the two of them arrived in front of a simple courtyard house. There was a plaque above the door with the words, "Zhou Residence," written on it. Zhou Wan's face was no longer happy. Instead, it revealed a trace of sorrow. He took out a black iron token and opened the defensive formation. He pushed open the door and walked into the small courtyard. Everything in the small courtyard was very clean and tidy, as if there were still people living here. The furnishings in the courtyard were also very simple. There was only a stone table and a few stone stools. The appearance of the stone table and stools was exactly the same as the one in the underground cave of Jade Spring Peak. Zhou Wan looked at the table in a daze. After a long time, she said, "Father likes to drink wine at this stone table the most." Tears flowed out of her eyes. Wang Daoyuan pulled her into his embrace and comforted her softly. After a long time, Zhou Wan finally stopped crying. she pushed open the door to the right of the small courtyard. The furnishings inside were also exactly the same as the boudoir in the underground cave of Jade Spring Peak. In the following days, Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan stayed in this small courtyard. Zhang Dingming came to visit every day, wanting to urge the two of them, but he didn't dare to say it out loud and always avoided the topic. On the other hand, Su Boyu didn't dare to come even once. After all, there was a grudge between them. If Zhou Wan was upset and was unhappy, she might chop him alive. If that happened, he wouldn't even be able to cry. 10 days later, another mine of the Blood Shadow was besieged by demonic beasts. Zhang Dingming and Su Boyu didn't care about anything else and came to the Zhou residence. As soon as they entered, Zhang Dingming bowed and said, "Two rank 5 demonic beasts are leading a group of rank 4 demonic beasts to besiege Kongming Mountain. Please help us, retired Emperor and Empress Dowager." Chapter 828. Wang Daoyuan pretended to be surprised. The demonic beasts appeared so suddenly. A large group of demonic beasts is not to be trifled with. I did not make any preparations. If I go out rashly, I am not confident that I can kill 2 rank 5 demonic beasts. When he said this, Zhou Wan looked at him with disdain. Since when did you need to prepare to kill demonic beasts? However, the two elders had a favor to ask of him. No matter how lousy the excuse was, he had to accept it. Zhang Dingming had lived for a long time and naturally knew what this meant. Don't worry, Grand Emperor. As long as we can resolve the Kongming Mountain siege, even if we can't kill the rank 5 demonic beasts, we will still propose to the elders to elect the Empress Dowager as the Shadow Master. Wang Daoyuan was waiting for this sentence. Since that is the case, I am ready. Let's go. After speaking, he walked out of the courtyard with Zhou Wan and left the Blood Shadow headquarters. They took a flying boat and headed southeast. The two elders were dumbfounded. Did they prepare so quickly to kill rank 5 demonic beasts? As a direct descendant of the Blood Shadow, Zhou Wan naturally knew the location of the Kongming Mountain. There was no need for others to lead the way. Wang Daoyuan felt it was strange that the Blood Shadow was so concerned about the Kongming Mountain. Hall Master, what is the Kongming Mountain? Why is Zhang Dingming so nervous? Zhou Wan answered, this is not a secret. The Blood Shadow headquarters has a man-made mystic realm that was left behind tens of thousands of years ago. This kind of mystic realm must have enough spatial spirit items to support it. Just like our Green Willow mystic realm, which is supported by hollow willows. The spatial spirit item used in the Blood Shadow mystic realm is the rank 6 Kongming stone. The price of the Kongming stone was not low. It was the most important spatial attribute material. Some of it was even needed to refine universe rings. The high-grade Kongming stone was also the best material to set up a teleportation array. Zhou Wan continued, the Blood Shadow mystic realm is close to 5,000 miles in diameter. It is the most important property of the Blood Shadow. However, this mystic realm was left behind from ancient times. At that time, it was protected by a rank 6 spirit vein. The Kongming stone was also rank 6. The spatial laws within it could maintain the normal operation of the mystic realm. However, now that he only had a peak rank 4 spirit vein, the grade of the dark space stone had also decreased. A tier 4 void nether stone was simply insufficient to maintain the operation of such a large mystic realm. If left alone, the Blood Shadow secret realm would slowly shrink, and it might even collapse in the process. In order to maintain the Blood Shadow secret realm, he had to consume a large amount of dark space stones and use the law of space to stabilize the secret realm. The Kongming Mountain was the largest Kongming stone mine in Beiyuan. If it was lost, there wouldn't be enough Kongming stone left to maintain the mystic realm. There's also a large amount of purple cloud wood in the Blood Shadow secret realm, which is a strategic resource. Wang Daoyuan was a little curious. The purple cloud tree can be grown in the mystic realm? Purple qi is the condensation of pure yin and pure yang qi. As long as you can provide pure yin and pure yang qi of the same grade, you can produce some purple qi. You saw the pure yang bead in the headquarters. There was an even stronger one in the mystic realm, which was the sun of the mystic realm. There's also a moonlight pearl as the moon. If this method worked, then he could use this method to deal with the two mystic realms of his own. The two of them chatted along the way and soon arrived at a place more than 1,000 miles northwest of the Kongming Mountain. Looking from afar, there was a mountain with a radius of less than 100 miles and a height of less than 1,000 feet. It was enveloped by a layer of defensive light. There were hundreds of demonic beasts surrounding the mountain. More than 1,000 miles east of the Kongming Mountain, there were 2 white clouds floating in the sky. The surrounding clouds were all drifting with the wind, but these 2 clouds stayed in the same place. It was obvious that these 2 clouds weren't naturally formed. The Kongming Mountain was extremely important, but its location was too poor. It was only about 1,000 miles away from the Sky/Mountain Range's main mountain range. It was probably harassed by demonic beasts and ferocious beasts in the past. It was just that there were no rank 5 demonic beasts in the past, so they couldn't threaten the Kongming Mountain. Wang Daoyuan directly controlled the flying boat and flew towards the demonic beasts below. The 2 rank 5 demonic beasts stayed in the distance and didn't come over. They were most likely trying to lure more people to their deaths. If they didn't make a move here, they wouldn't come out. The flying boat flew above the Kongming Mountain. Zhou Wan waved her hand, and a scarlet flame surged out. In order to lure the 2 demonic beasts out, Wang Daoyuan didn't expose his abilities. He only used the vermilion bird fire control technique to condense a vermilion bird phantom, causing the flames to grow stronger. Soon, it turned into a sea of fire. Zhou Wan also condensed a scarlet wan phantom and merged into the sea of fire. The vermilion bird and scarlet wan flew side by side, bringing the sea of fire down on the demonic beasts below. Sensing the power of the laws in the flames, most of the demonic beasts panicked and fled in all directions. A few of the demonic beasts still had some courage and used their innate magic to attack. However, their attacks were too weak. When they fell into the sea of fire, they only splashed a ball of flames and then disappeared. When the sea of fire fell, the rank 4 demonic beasts with courage were instantly turned into charcoal. Wang Daoyuan felt that it was a pity. Every rank 4 demonic beast was equivalent to several golden formation pills. The demonic beasts that fled weren't much better off. Under the cover of the sea of fire, the demonic beasts that were slow to escape were quickly devoured. At this time, the 2 clouds in the east of the Kongming Mountain moved and quickly drifted towards the west. When they arrived in the sky above the Kongming Mountain, a black and a white figure swooped down from the clouds. Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan were already prepared. The vermilion bird and scarlet wan met them with the sea of fire. The 2 figures were unwilling to face the sea of fire head-on and changed directions to avoid the sea of fire. They slowed down and revealed their original appearance. One was a silver tiger with blood-red eyes and a pair of golden wings on its back. This was the white tiger bloodline half-divine beast, the blood-eyed golden-winged tiger. The other was a pitch-black wolf. There was nothing special about its appearance. However, no one could say for sure how strong a fellow who had awakened the bloodline of an archaic mutated beast was. The blood-eyed golden-winged tiger roared, "What a powerful spiritual fire! Dao Yu of the human race, don't you think you've gone too far by slaughtering the demonic beasts juniors?" Wang Daoyuan sneered, "The Kongming Mountain is also the territory of the human race. Dao Yu of the human race came to the territory of the human race to talk to me about this?" At this point, the human race and the demonic beasts are already irreconcilable. What's the point of talking nonsense? After saying that, the vermilion bird's projection led the sea of fire to suppress the blood-eyed golden-winged tiger. The 2 demonic beasts showed serious disdain. The blood-eyed golden-winged tiger flapped its wings and released thousands of rays of golden light. The black wolf also opened its mouth and spat out a full moon. Wang Daoyuan found this full moon familiar, but he couldn't remember where he had seen it. Under the suppression of the golden light and the full moon, the sea of fire quickly shrank. Not long after, the flames slowly extinguished. The 2 demonic beasts roared excitedly, but they were soon stunned. The surrounding spiritual energy was all turned into fire spiritual energy in an instant, and this fire spiritual energy turned into a red-gold sea of fire. 2 red suns rose from the sea of fire and constantly absorbed the red-gold flames. Then, they flew toward the 2 demonic beasts. They tried their best to dodge, but their speed was completely incomparable to the red suns. The red suns didn't directly smash them to death. Instead, they wrapped up and slowly consumed their spiritual energy. This was a spell that Wang Daoyuan created by imitating the red-feathered crow's minor divine ability. It was called Scorching Sunday. When used together with the red yang real fire and the divine ability domain, its power was needless to say. Previously, he wasn't proficient and couldn't use much power. In the Heaven's Mystery Tower, his control of spiritual energy was greatly increased, and the power of this spell was not weak. The red yang real fire in the sea of fire gathered toward the 2 red suns, and the red suns gradually turned golden. The 2 demonic beasts also became more and more strained and gradually couldn't hold on. After half a cup of tea's time, the 2 demonic beasts' spiritual energy was almost exhausted. Wang Daoyuan flew to the 2 red suns and let out a tiger's roar. The 2 demonic beasts didn't have enough spiritual energy to protect themselves and fainted. He dispersed the 2 red suns and surrounded the surroundings with the sea of fire. He smiled at Zhou Wan. "Hall Master, I'll leave the rest to you." Zhou Wan flew into the sea of fire. Under Wang Daoyuan's guidance, she took out 2 divided souls and merged them into the souls of the 2 demonic beasts. Chapter 829. With the flame blocking, no one could see what was going on inside. After Zhou Wan's split soul merged, Wang Daoyuan took out 2 universe rings that could store demonic beasts and put them in. These 2 demonic beasts were no longer a problem. As long as she waited for 10 days to half a month, after the divided soul completely took control of the doppelganger, Zhou Wan would have 2 more 5th-order middle-grade fighters. With the 2 level 5 demonic beasts taken care of, the remaining level 4 demonic beasts and ferocious beasts did not dare to stay any longer. Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan did not stay in Kongming Mountain for long and returned to the headquarters of Blood Shadow. There were Blood Shadow cultivators guarding Kongming Mountain. The news of them taking care of the level 5 demonic beasts should have been reported to the headquarters long ago. Sure enough, the flying boat landed in the valley where Blood Shadow's headquarters was located. Zhang Dingming and Su Boyu were already waiting there. "Welcome back, retired Emperor and Empress Dowager." Wang Daoyuan waved his hand and said, "No need to be so polite. Let's get down to business as soon as possible. We've already gathered all the elders and mid-level stewards. We're just waiting for retired Emperor and Empress Dowager to return. Then we'll start discussing the matter of Empress Dowager becoming the Shadow Master." The 2 elders led the way and soon arrived at the meeting hall of the headquarters. At this moment, there were 50 to 60 golden core cultivators sitting in the hall. Seeing the 4 of them walk in, all the cultivators stood up and said in unison, "Greetings, retired Emperor and Empress." "Greetings, First Elder and Second Elder." Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan walked to the main seats and sat down. The others did not feel anything wrong. Zhang Dingming said, "Now that a level 5 spirit vein is about to appear in Beiyuan Shouxian, even the demon race that hibernated 10,000 years ago has come out to seize the opportunity. The 4 top forces, even the Zhou state and the Qin state, already had Yuan cultivators. Together with the new top force Yan Kingdom, Blood Shadow can only be ranked 8th now. Now is a time of turmoil. If we don't seize the opportunity to seize the opportunity, it will be difficult for us to make a comeback in the future. Blood Shadow is different from the other forces. Their hands are stained with the blood of other forces. Once they decline, they might not even be able to protect the foundation left behind by their ancestors. However, we also have one last chance." Zhou Wan, the head of the Shanbei branch, was also the Empress Dowager of the Yan Kingdom. He was the only Yuanian cultivator among Blood Shadow's direct descendants. Previously, an elder had suggested for Hall leader Zhou to be the Shadow leader. At that time, hall leader Zhou had yet to make any contributions, so it was difficult for him to convince the masses. Today, the blood-eyed golden-winged tiger and the moon-howling wolf had led a large group of demonic beasts to besiege the Kongming Mountain. Hall Master Zhou and the retired emperor joined hands to take down these two demonic beasts, and even killed dozens of fourth-rank demonic beasts to protect the Kongming Mountain. With such a great contribution, he was qualified to become the Shadow Lord. I suggest that Hall Master Zhou be the Shadow Master. Elders, if you have any opinions, feel free to raise them. Before he finished speaking, a middle-aged man said, I agree that Hall Master Zhou should be the Shadow Lord. Now, there are 7 forces with Yuanian cultivators. Our blood shadow can't afford to delay any longer. If Hall Master Zhou becomes the Shadow Master, we'll have a Yuanian cultivator. With our resources, we can at least suppress the Zhou and Qin states. In the future, if we join forces with the Yan Kingdom, we won't be afraid of the other 4 top forces. An old golden core cultivator also said, Martial nephew Zhang Yu's words are reasonable. So what if we're under the Yan Kingdom? It's much better than being surrounded by the other forces and losing our foundation and inheritance. Then, several more golden core cultivators came out to support him. Zhang Dingming and Su Boyu were a little surprised. These elders came from small families and climbed up from the middle class. The people of the Zhang and Su families hadn't said anything yet. In fact, these cultivators who climbed up from the middle class were more supportive of Zhou Wan. After all, Zhou Wan's background was similar to theirs. If they could promote Zhou Wan to the position of Shadow Master, they could also suppress the Zhang and Su families. In the future, their descendants could also get more resources and it would be easier for them to rise to the top. The elders of the Zhang and Su families also looked at each other. They had been told by their elders that they must agree with Zhou Wan to be the Shadow Master. Now that the elders of small families had expressed their opinions, they didn't dare to delay any longer. For a moment, all the Golden Core elders agreed. Zhang Dingming glanced at Su Boyu and cursed inwardly, this old fox. He most likely reached a tacit understanding with Wang Daoyuan in private. After all this fuss, only my Zhang family was kept in the dark. He originally thought that the Su family would desperately oppose and also rope in a few elders who were promoted from the middle class. The number of people who agreed with Zhou Wan to be the Shadow Master was less than 2/3. It would be fine if he fooled them. The Su family's betrayal was directly supported by everyone. But things had already come to this, and Wang Daoyuan had been staring at him. If he dared to make trouble at this time, he probably wouldn't even have the chance to speak before being killed. He had no choice but to announce, since all the elders have agreed, the stewards below don't need to express their opinions anymore. Blood Shadow has unanimously agreed that Hall Master Zhou will be the Shadow Master and lead the Blood Shadow cultivators. Hall Master Zhou, please consider the sincerity of the Blood Shadow cultivators and take on this heavy burden to revive the power of Blood Shadow. Zhou Wan stood up and said, since all the elders support me, I'll take on the burden of Blood Shadow. I don't dare to say that I'll shake Beiyuan like the ancestors of the past, but I'll do my best to protect Blood Shadow's position. Su Boyu hurriedly said, Shadow Master, please go to the Ancestral Master Hall to worship the ancestors. All the elders also shouted together, Shadow Master, please succeed. Zhou Wan didn't refuse. Since all the elders support me, I'll succeed the position of Shadow Master today. After saying that, she led the elders to the Ancestral Master Hall. It wasn't far, the Ancestral Master Hall was right next to the conference hall. A group of people escorted Zhou Wan into the Ancestral Master Hall. Together with Zhang Dingming and Su Boyu, they knelt 3 times and kowtowed 9 times in front of the memorial tablets of the past ancestors. They told the past ancestors that Blood Shadow had chosen another Shadow Master. Afterwards, Zhang Dingming and Su Boyu walked into the backyard of the Ancestral Master Hall. After a while, the two came out again. Zhang Dingming was holding a red robe in his hand, while Su Boyu was holding a wooden tray. On the tray, there was a blood jade seal, a few thick animal skins, and a few tokens. Zhang Dingming put the red robe on Zhou Wan. This is the Taoist robe worn by the first ancestor, blood robe divinity, when he killed the Devil Clan. It's also the token of the past Shadow Masters. Su Boyu came forward, and Zhang Dingming handed the things in his hands to Zhou Wan one by one. This is the seal of the Shadow Master, the list of all the properties of Blood Shadow, and the tokens to access the secret treasure house and the core inheritance. Zhou Wan took these things one by one, and then raised the blood jade seal with one hand. All the elders, including Zhang Dingming and Su Boyu, knelt on one knee. Shadow Master. Zhou Wan had been in charge of Shanbei for more than 200 years, so she naturally had a good temperament. She waved her hand. Elders, please rise. In the future, all the affairs of Blood Shadow will depend on you. All the elders said in unison, we are willing to die for Blood Shadow. Then, Su Boyu cupped his hands and said, Shadow Master, I'm old and don't have many years left. I can no longer assist you. Please allow me to abdicate. Zhou Wan hurriedly persuaded, Second Elder has worked hard for Blood Shadow for hundreds of years. How can you just retire? Su Boyu pleaded again and again, and Zhou Wan reluctantly agreed. Zhou Wan asked, in your opinion, who should be the second elder? Su Boyu cupped his hands and said, I think Elder Zhang Yu can take on this responsibility. Elder Zhang Yu reached the peak of gold core when he was more than 500 years old, and now he's only 600 or 700 years old. In the future, if he has a level 5 spiritual vein, he will definitely be able to break through Yuanying. He's the most suitable person to be the second elder. This guy really knew how to behave. The decline of the Su family was inevitable, and the position of the second elder could not be kept. He might as well do a favor and bring Zhang Yu up. Zhang Yu was a close friend of Zhou Wan's father. If Zhou Wan wanted to cultivate power, she must promote Zhang Yu. Now that he took the initiative to recommend him, Zhang Yu could also take care of the Su family in the future. Zhou Wan nodded. Since that's the case, then we'll do as Elder Su says. Zhang Yu will be the second elder. What do you think, first elder? Zhang Dingming knew that he had been tricked, so he did not dare to act rashly. Zhang Yu is indeed a talent. He's the most suitable person to be the second elder. Chapter 830. With the second elder's recommendation and the Shadow Master and Grand Elder's agreement, the matter was settled. Since Grand Elder has no objections, it's decided. Zhang Yu will be the second elder. Elders, please go about your own business. The rank 5 demonic beast has been subdued, and many businesses have suffered heavy losses. We need to recover as soon as possible. The elders took their leave, leaving only the Grand Elder and Su Boyu. Su Boyu cupped his hands toward Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan. Shadow Master and retired Emperor, please come to the Su family for a chat. It's time for me to give you an explanation for what happened back then. Zhang Dingming finally understood. The Su family had supported Zhou Wan to become the Shadow Master in exchange for Zhou Wan's mercy. If not for this, with Wang Daoyuan's temper, he would have wiped out the Su family. The three of them left the ancestral hall and headed toward the Su family's spirit mountain. The spirit mountains of these families were all outside of Blood Shadow City. There were only a few large courtyards in the city, so it was convenient for the clansmen to work. As one of the two great clans of Blood Shadow City, the Su family had lived for tens of thousands of years. The dozen or so mountains north of Blood Shadow City were all the Su family's territory. When the three of them arrived at the Su family's main spirit mountain, all the golden core cultivators of the Su family were already there. When they saw Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan, they bowed. Greetings, Shadow Master and retired Emperor. Zhou Wan waved her hand. At ease. Everyone stood up. Su Boyu said, about 400 years ago, Sui Zong of the Su family lost to the Shadow Master when he was fighting for the right to open his Violet Palace. I felt ashamed, so I suppressed the Shadow Master. Sui Zong wanted to marry the Shadow Master, but after he was rejected, I felt ashamed. Under this brat's urging, the Shadow Master was sent to the barren lands north of Mount Huiyan. He even used his connections to kill the Shadow Master's father. A life for a life. It's time for the Su family to pay the price. He pointed out Su Yizong and the other 2 golden core cultivators. There were many people who participated in this, but only the 4 of us are still alive. It's up to the Shadow Master to decide what to do with us. All members of the Su family, listen up. The 4 of us are going to die today because our Su family owes the Shadow Master. In the future, the descendants of the Su family will listen to the Shadow Master's orders and cannot disobey him. Qinghe, in the future, you will be in charge of all matters of the Su family. You must restrain your descendants and not go against the Shadow Lord and the Yan Kingdom. Su Qinghe cupped his hands and said, "Yes, father." Zhou Wan glanced at them. I won't deal with the Su family in the future, lest someone from the Su family acts recklessly and wants to avenge you. I won't do it myself. Kill yourselves. Su Boyu cupped his hands and said, "Thank you for your magnanimity, Shadow Master." After he finished speaking, he looked at Su Yizong and the others. Otherwise, you 3 won't be willing to die after this old man dies and anger the Shadow Master again. The 3 of you should commit suicide first. If you don't dare, this old man will do it myself. This Su Yizong was less than 500 years old, and his cultivation was at the middle gold core stage. He looked like a young man, and his appearance was not bad. But now, he was scared out of his wits. His face was deathly pale, and his forehead was covered in cold sweat. When he heard that Su Boyu wanted him to commit suicide, he was so scared that he quickly knelt down. "Grandpa, save me. I don't want to die." Su Boyu sighed. "It's all my fault. I spoiled you too much. Otherwise, you wouldn't have caused such a big trouble. Since it's my fault, I'll take care of it." Before he finished speaking, he hit Su Yizong's head with his palm. Su Yizong's eyes widened, and his face was filled with disbelief. He fell to the ground and died. The other 2 didn't need Su Boyu to do anything and killed themselves. Su Boyu looked at the Su family members, then raised his hand and hit his own head. The Su family members had tears in their eyes, but they didn't dare to cry out loud. Zhou Wan said, "My grudge with the Su family has been settled. As long as the Su family doesn't betray me, I won't suppress them." Then, she left the Su family's spirit mountain with Wang Daoyuan and returned to the Blood Shadow City. When they arrived at the Blood Shadow City, the 2 of them went to the Zhou mansion. Zhou Wan opened the door to the main room in the courtyard. There was only a sacrificial table, a few chairs, and a bed inside. There were 2 memorial tablets on the table. They belonged to Zhou Wan's parents. Zhou Wan burned 3 incense sticks for the 2 memorial tablets and kowtowed 3 times. "Father, I've avenged you. I've also become the Shadow Master of the Blood Shadow City. I've also found you a good son-in-law and gave birth to a grandson. He's the Emperor of the Yan Kingdom. When you were alive, you always wanted to acknowledge your ancestors and return to your family. I've fulfilled your wish. Now, I'm Princess Qingyang of the Zhou Kingdom. I'm the leader of Ancestor Qiyuan's branch." Wang Daoyuan also burned 3 incense sticks. "Father-in-law and mother-in-law, don't worry. I'll take care of Zhou Wan. Nothing will happen to her." After paying their respects, Wang Daoyuan stayed with Zhou Wan for more than a month. Zhou Wan was already able to completely control the 2 doppelgangers. With the protection of these 2 doppelgangers, which were comparable to a late-stage Yuanian cultivator, there wouldn't be any problems. Wang Daoyuan left all the nascent cultivating pills for her. He left the Blood Shadow headquarters and returned to the Jade Spring Peak. The family was facing the sky-beheading mountain range, the Eastern Sea, and the Arctic ice plains. It was even more dangerous than the Blood Shadow headquarters. If he wasn't there for a long time, the demonic beasts would definitely cause trouble. Zhou Wan naturally stayed at the headquarters. After all, she had just become the Shadow Master. She didn't have a reliable force under her, so she couldn't leave easily. She had already appointed Wang Daojian as the Shanbei branch's hall master. His authority was the same as before. he could appoint the hall master of a second-grade branch. The entire Blood Shadow organization in the Yen Kingdom was managed by Wang Daojian. In the future, the Wang family's descendants would enter the headquarters through the Shanbei branch. With the Shadow Master's protection, the Wang family's descendants who entered the Blood Shadow headquarters would naturally be put in an important position. On the way back to the Jade Spring Peak, Wang Daoyuan strolled around several places where fifth-grade demonic beasts roamed. These demonic beasts were quite obedient. Ever since he intimidated them last time, they didn't show up again. He returned to the Jade Spring Peak unimpeded. There were no problems at the family side. After the demonic beasts were wiped out twice, they didn't dare to show up again. After returning to the Jade Spring Peak, there was a happy occasion. The Jade Spring Peak spirit vein had been upgraded to 4th grade high grade. Moreover, the density of the spirit energy was clearly increasing. The piece of Gui water essence that had been fused into the spirit vein wasn't wasted. In addition, the Sky Beheading Mountain Range was relatively close. When the Sky Beheading Mountain Range became a 5th grade spirit vein, the Jade Spring Peak would also gain some benefits. There was still a high chance that the spirit vein would be upgraded to 5th grade. On the Jade Spring Peak, he also met a person he hadn't seen for many years. It was Wang Dezhao. After Wang Daochang left the position of clan leader, Wang Mingshan took over as clan leader, and he took over as Grand Elder. However, he resigned after a few years and stayed in the Green Willow secret territory to cultivate. After returning for a few years, he didn't show up. When he saw Wang Daoyuan, he hurriedly bowed and said, "Grandson greets 7th grade uncle. Congratulations on breaking through to the Yuanying stage." Wang Daoyuan carefully sized him up. "Not bad, peak stage Zifu realm cultivation. It's not easy to cultivate to such a level after establishing the Zifu realm for only 100 years. How's your progress in the 100 arts of cultivation?" Wang Dezhao smiled awkwardly. "I've spent all my energy on cultivation these past few years. My alchemy and equipment forging are only 3rd grade low grade." His talent wasn't bad, but it couldn't be considered top-notch. To be able to reach the peak stage of the Zifu realm in 100 years was already very good. As for alchemy and equipment forging, it wasn't a big deal to delay them for a while. What the family lacked was a pillar of support, not an alchemist or equipment forging master. It's already very rare to have such achievements in 100 years. You came this time to ask about the fire attribute laws, right? After saying that, he took out the meteoric flame controlling gourd and placed a wisp of scarlet yang true fire inside. You can use this spirit fire to comprehend the laws. If there's anything you don't understand, go ask your 3rd grade uncle. I still have to improve my alchemy skills, so I don't have time to guide you. Wang Dezhao took the gourd and thanked him repeatedly. There was a world of difference between a 5th grade spirit fire and a 4th grade spirit fire. The laws of a 4th grade spirit fire were extremely rare, and they were all hidden. It wasn't easy to comprehend the laws. And the laws of a 5th grade spirit fire were extremely obvious. It was basically putting the laws in front of you. Comprehending the laws of a 5th grade spirit fire was much easier. Chapter 831. After sending Wang Dezhao away, Wang Daoyuan returned to the underground cave and began to refine pills. In the Heaven's secret tower, he learned alchemy from the Thousand Hands Divine Sovereign. There was no need to nurture pills in the illusion realm. It only took an hour to refine a cauldron of pills. Although he didn't stay in the illusion realm for long, he still gained a lot. Now, he could refine 2 cauldrons of 9 Death's Soul Return pills at the same time, and his success rate had reached 40%. After refining the pills, he could put the pills and cauldron into the space of the Spirit Pearl. Yuanying also entered the space of the Spirit Pearl and slowly nurtured the pills. In this way, he would be able to rapidly refine large amounts of medicinal pills in less than a few days for the most time-consuming pill nurturing. 2 years later, his success rate of refining 9 Death's Soul Return pills had reached 60%. With this success rate, he could start refining the mid-grade level 5 nascent cultivating pill. Although the value of this nascent cultivating pill was much higher than the 9 deaths soul return pill, it wasn't too outrageous. In the 7 stars heavenly palace, he obtained all the seedlings of the spiritual herbs needed for the nascent cultivating pill. These spiritual herbs would bloom and bear seeds if they weren't old enough. His clone plucked these seeds and began to expand. Previously, in the Qixing Si Shuxian community, it was difficult to find spiritual herbs for refining pills. The spiritual fields expanded from the space of the spirit pearl didn't have any other spiritual herbs. With these nascent cultivating pill seeds, he began to expand. Now, there were more than 30 acres. Previously, he had already harvested more than 10 acres. Refining a few hundred nascent cultivating pills wasn't a big problem. The other 20 acres would also grow in the next few years. Previously, when Zhou Wan was forming her nascent soul, the core of the nascent replenishing fruit was planted in the space of the spirit pearl by Wang Daoyuan. Now, it had grown to a height of more than a foot. However, it would take at least a few decades for the saplings to bear fruit. Taking out a set of ingredients for the nascent cultivating pill, he used the flame of life to extract the essence of the spiritual herbs and began to refine the nascent cultivating pill. For the first time, he didn't dare to refine 2 cauldrons of pills at the same time. The first cauldron of pills wasn't bad. 2 pills were formed. Next, it would take half a year to nurture them. After putting the cauldron into the space of the spirit pearl, Yuanying also entered. With time accelerated by more than 70 times, less than 3 days had passed in the outside world, and the medicinal pill had been successfully nurtured. Yuanying came out of the spirit pearl's space and swallowed a newly refined nascent cultivating pill. She circulated her cultivation method to refine it. Using the 1,000-armed Supreme Divinity's alchemy technique and the flame of life to extract the essence of the herbs, the pill toxins in the pills were indeed much less. Of course, to Wang Daoyuan, the presence of pill toxins was no big deal. Even if there were remnants of pill toxins in his body, he could use the spiritual fire to burn his entire body to remove the pill toxins. After confirming the success of the pill refining, he still wanted to continue his efforts and refine more nascent cultivating pills. However, Hui Peng, who was patrolling the heavenly/mountain range, discovered something unusual. His panoramic perception clone, the Grey Rock, felt that there was an unusual power in the heaven/mountain range. Furthermore, as time passed, the fluctuations became stronger and stronger. This kind of fluctuation was not unfamiliar to him. It was the fluctuation of the power of law that only a rank 5 spirit vein could have. Wang Daoyuan left the underground cave and flew east to the vicinity of the heaven/mountain range's main vein. The spirit energy produced here was indeed a small portion of rank 5 spirit energy. He stopped here for a moment, and the rank 5 spirit energy increased. However, the change was very weak, and cultivators below the Yuanying realm and demons below rank 5 would not be able to notice it. The rank 5 spirit energy produced now was not enough. Relying on this little bit of spirit energy was not enough to break through to the Yuanying realm. However, according to this growth rate, it would slowly grow. In 2 to 3 years at most, the heaven/mountain range's main spirit vein would truly become a low-grade rank 5 spirit vein, and it would not be a problem for cultivators to break through to the Yuanying realm. The heaven/mountain range stretched from the heaven/abyss to the depths of the extreme frost ice plains for more than 1,000,000 miles. Even the Sea of 7 Stars did not have such a huge spirit vein. Once it became a rank 5 spirit vein, it would produce a huge amount of rank 5 spirit energy. Under this influence, the concentration of spirit energy in the entire Beiyuan would rapidly increase. At that time, the battle between the demons and humans would become even more intense. After all, once the spirit energy recovered, the advantage of the human race's fast cultivation speed would be displayed. The longer the battle dragged on, the greater the advantage of the human race would be. Although the demons were reckless, they were not brainless. They would not watch the humans gain the absolute advantage. More than 10,000 years ago, the demons had to sneak around to break through to the next realm. This situation was not what the demons wanted to see. The demons that were hiding in various places would definitely think of ways to gather under the immense pressure of the humans and deal with the humans together. Wang Daoyuan immediately sent a message to Zhou Wan, his master, and the many cultivators of the Archaic Mysteries sect, asking them to make preparations as soon as possible. If the rank 5 demons did not show themselves, he would not be able to find them even if he wanted to attack them one by one. There was not much he could do. He could only return to the Jade Spring Peak and prepare more resources to prepare for the battle with the demons. At the same time, he had the Grey Rock clone monitor the movements of the demons. If there were any problems, he would be able to find out in time. The red-feathered crow in the Spirit Pearl space had been stuck at the peak of rank 4 for a long time. With the density of the Golden Crow's bloodline in its body and the ample spiritual energy in the Spirit Pearl space, it should not be stuck at the bottleneck of rank 4. This fella usually took a nap on the blood-fire hibiscus tree in the Spirit Pearl space. It was not a good idea to let it continue like this. Wang Daoyuan let it out to follow the Grey Rock to investigate the movements of the demons. The Golden Crow was also a divine bird known for its speed. With the Grey Rock's protection, encountering a rank 5 demon beast was not a problem. If it encountered a rank 4 demon beast, it could be used as a practice partner. It might even have the opportunity to break through to rank 5. However, after this fella came out of the Spirit Pearl space, it was not willing to search for demon beasts. It only flew to the Iron Screen Mountain at the western border of Qingli County and stayed on the mountain top to bask in the sun. Although the Iron Screen Mountain was high, it only had a rank 3 low-grade spiritual vein. There were no demon beasts that could threaten it. Thus, he did not bother about it. If it liked to bask in the sun, he would let it bask in the sun slowly. 2 years passed quickly. After Wang Daoyuan refined a few hundred nascent cultivating pills, he started to refine rank 5 magic tools. Of course, these magic tools were also mainly rank 5 low-grade shields. The war with the demons was coming soon. With more rank 5 magic tools, they could also increase their combat strength. In the future, if his clansmen broke through to rank 5, they could also use these shields to transcend the tribulation. In these 2 years, the Heaven/Mountain Range produced more and more rank 5 spiritual energy. It was just that there was still a gap to break through with this spiritual energy. No human or demon beast would take the risk at this time. On the other hand, the scarlet-feathered crow did not bask in the sun for nothing these 2 years. Its small divine ability was getting stronger and stronger. It was already very close to a true divine ability. It seemed that it had stayed in the Spirit Pearl space for a few years and there were no signs of a breakthrough. It should be that it could not see the sun. Legend had it that the sun was formed by the ancestor of the Golden Crow lineage. It contained the divine ability of the Golden Crow clan. Wang Daoyuan could not feel anything special about the sun and thought that it was just a legend. The scarlet-feathered crow could strengthen its small divine ability just by basking in the sun. It seemed that this legend was not groundless. Wang Daoyuan's Yuanying was in the Spirit Pearl space. She was nurturing a silver rank 5 low-grade shield. Soon, the shield emitted strong spiritual energy fluctuations and the power of laws unique to rank 5 magic tools. Yuanying waved her small hand and took the shield out of the weapon-refining cauldron. Yuanying left the Spirit Pearl space and returned to her physical body. At this time, the scarlet-feathered crow came to his side. Wang Daoyuan asked, "Why didn't you continue to bask in the sun on Iron Screen Mountain?" The scarlet-feathered crow said with divine sense, "Father, I can break through to rank 5 now." Hearing this, Wang Daoyuan was overjoyed. After the scarlet-feathered crow broke through, its strength should not be inferior to an ordinary rank 5 mid-grade demon beast. He took out a few 9 death resurrection pills. "Is this pill useful to you?" "This is a spiritual item that the human race needs. The yin qi in it will only deplete my pure yang qi. It also has side effects. I don't need to be afraid of getting injured during the tribulation. As long as it's daytime, I can continuously absorb energy from the sun to replenish my spiritual energy and heal my injuries." Chapter 832. Wang Daoyuan couldn't help but sigh. These godly beasts were indeed the favorites of heaven and earth. They could actually obtain spiritual power from the sun. This was only a minor divine ability, yet it had such power. When it broke through to the 5th stage, the minor divine ability would become a divine ability, and its power would increase greatly. In the future, the red-feathered crow wouldn't have to worry about consumption when fighting during the day. He asked the red-feathered crow, "Do you still need to prepare anything? If not, let's go to the sky beheading mountain range and prepare to break through to the 5th stage. I've already prepared the fire attribute demon core for your breakthrough." "Thank you, Father. I have nothing else to prepare." The red-feathered crow saw Wang Daoyuan the moment it came out of its shell. Ever since it could communicate with its divine sense, it had always called him father. Wang Daoyuan had tried to correct it many times, but it was useless, so he simply ignored it. Anyway, he already had Wang Mingchen as his son. It wasn't a big deal to find him an older brother with the golden crow bloodline. Wang Daoyuan took the red-feathered crow and headed east. When they arrived near the sky beheading mountain range, they found a relatively flat area on the mountainside. The red-feathered crow stood on this flat area and ate a fire-red demon core. It spread its wings and absorbed the power of the sun. It was 1:15 noon, and the sun had already passed through the sky beheading mountain range. The sun was getting stronger and stronger, and the fluctuations of spiritual power on the red-feathered crow's body were getting stronger. Spirit beasts were different from humans. They didn't need to form their nascent soul, so they didn't need the 5-element spiritual items. The red-feathered crow refined the demon core while absorbing the power of the sun. After an hour, its spiritual power suddenly increased and reached the level of a low-tier 5th stage demonic beast. At the same time, the fluctuations of the power of law became stronger. It had already broken through to the 5th stage. Tribulation clouds soon appeared in the sky and quickly expanded. It expanded to a diameter of about 300 miles before stopping. After a quarter of an hour, a fire-red lightning bolt fell from the sky. The red-feathered crow opened its mouth and spat out a huge fireball, which smashed towards the lightning. The lightning and the fireball collapsed at the same time. The red-feathered crow was unharmed and began to absorb the remaining spiritual power. The power of this heavenly tribulation was not inferior to the 5-element heavenly tribulation of human cultivators. The red-feathered crow was able to withstand it without being injured. Its strength was already superior to most human cultivators. Even when he had just formed his nascent soul, his strength was only at this level. The heavenly tribulation for demonic beasts to break through to the 5th rank was also 5, but it was not divided into the 5 elements like for humans. Although the human clan was not like the divine beasts who were born with the potential to cultivate to the earth immortal realm, they were still extraordinary. Even if the 5 elements were incomplete, during the nascent soul formation stage, the cultivator would use spiritual items and heavenly tribulations to complete the 5 elements. Demonic beasts' heavenly tribulations were only of the same attribute as their own spiritual power. There was no chance for them to complete the 5 elements. The red-feathered crow was of the fire attribute, so its 5 heavenly tribulations were also of the fire attribute. The 5 heavenly tribulations had the same spiritual energy, and their power was exactly the same. If the red-winged crow could withstand the first one, the remaining 4 wouldn't be a problem. 2 hours later, all 5 heavenly tribulations descended, but the red-winged crow was unharmed. Because it had absorbed a large amount of heavenly tribulations' power, not only was its spiritual energy not severely depleted, it was even more abundant than before. It refined the power of the heavenly tribulation in its body to strengthen its monster core and physical body. 15 minutes later, the tribulation clouds surged violently. Soon, a fireball with a diameter of 3 meters fell from the sky. The red-winged crow didn't take this fireball seriously. It also imitated the heavenly tribulation and shot out a fireball. However, its magic was still much weaker than the heavenly tribulation. It shot out 2 fireballs in a row to disperse the heavenly tribulation's fireball. Before the next attack arrived, the red-winged crow also absorbed some sunlight. After a few minutes, a golden sun fell from the sky. The red-winged crow didn't dare to be careless. It used its divine ability to transform into a red and gold sun. At this time, Wang Daoyuan's surroundings were obviously cold and dark. The surrounding sunlight was rushing toward the red-winged crow. With the external supplement, the red-winged crow's strength increased. The two suns chased and collided under the tribulation clouds. Occasionally, the suns would extend their claws or beaks to attack the opponent. 15 minutes later, the red-winged crow couldn't hold on any longer. The red and gold sun also completely dissipated. The sun formed by the heavenly tribulation didn't give up and smashed into the red-winged crow's body. Then, the heavenly tribulation sun turned into a three-legged golden crow. It spat out golden flames from its mouth and surrounded the red-winged crow. The red-winged crow didn't give up and continued to devour the golden flames. After an hour of stalemate, the heavenly tribulation golden crow dissipated. Only the golden flames were still burning around it. The red-winged crow's situation couldn't be seen clearly. At this time, the tribulation clouds in the sky began to change from black to purple and gold. The heavenly tribulation's power also began to dissipate. Wang Daoyuan was relieved. At least the red-winged crow was still alive. Wang Daoyuan released his Yinglong avatar. It flew to the red-winged crow's body and began to devour the golden flames of the heavenly tribulation. At the same time, he also released his red sun primordial fire to try to devour the flames. After all, the flames formed by the heavenly tribulation were very close to the real sun primordial fire. Absorbing some of the flames of the heavenly tribulation into the red sun primordial fire was more or less beneficial. For example, the red sun primordial fire seed in the spiritual pearl space absorbed some of the flames of the heavenly tribulation when the red-winged crow broke through to the fourth stage. The golden color in the flames was more than the seed fire. A huge amount of red sun primordial fire poured out of Wang Daoyuan's body and devoured the flames of the heavenly tribulation. After a quarter of an hour, the golden flames of the heavenly tribulation were completely devoured by the red sun primordial fire and Yinglong avatar. Wang Daoyuan absorbed the red sun primordial fire into his body and merged it with the fire attribute spiritual power seed. The red-winged crow's body was also exposed. At this time, all of its feathers had turned into ashes. His bare body had already been burnt to a crisp, leaving only some life energy fluctuations. A purple and gold ball with a diameter of 5 inches fell from the sky and merged with the charred body. The red-winged crow's vitality rapidly increased, and the burnt color on its body gradually receded, revealing a bald golden bird. At this time, purple and gold petals fell from the tribulation clouds. The red-winged crow absorbed these petals and began to grow black fur on its body. Some feathers drilled out of the fur and gradually covered the fur. In the end, the feathers on the red-winged crow's body recovered. In terms of details, there were still some differences from before. The current red-winged crow was almost exactly the same as the previous heavenly tribulation golden crow. The only difference was that the heavenly tribulation golden crow had 3 claws, and the red-winged crow only had 2. After the feathers recovered, the red-winged crow quickly woke up. He directly shouted, "Father, come and absorb some of the gifts of heaven and earth. I can't absorb too much." When a monster broke through to the 5th stage, even if it did not take the path of transformation, it could still speak human language. The red-winged crow's bloodline was extraordinary. When cultivated to the extreme, it was like the sun. There was no need for it to transform into a human form to cultivate. Wang Daoyuan did not find anything strange. He flew into the range of the gifts of heaven and earth and sat down cross-legged to absorb them. Yinglong's avatar had not been retracted. It had been desperately devouring the gifts of heaven and earth. At this time, a sharp cry came from the astral wind layer above. Which genius of the monster race can break through to the 5th stage at this time? The gifts of heaven and earth when a monster broke through to the 5th stage would definitely attract the attention of other monsters. It would be strange if no monster came to take advantage of it. Wang Daoyuan snorted coldly. Scram! The spiritual power in the astral wind layer paused, and then it angrily rebuked, "Reckless human, How dare you raise a 5th stage monster? If you know what's good for you, quickly remove the master recognition. I can let you live. Otherwise, I'll make you wish you were dead. Wang Daoyuan looked for a long time and did not find the specific location of this guy. He only knew that it was hiding in the astral wind layer, and his divine sense could not explore too far in the astral wind. Where did this evil beast come from? You're like a plagued chicken, not even daring to show your head. Come out if you have the guts, shut up if you don't. Before the voice fell, an angry curse came from the astral wind layer. You're the chicken, your grandfather is the phoenix. Chapter 833. This guy cursed, but he didn't come out. He wasn't in a hurry, so Wang Daoyuan was happy to be idle. The gifts of heaven and earth were extremely beneficial for healing the body and Yuanning's internal injuries, as well as increasing one's potential. This was also the reason why demon beasts and human cultivators liked to take advantage of the situation. Especially demon beasts with divine beast bloodline, the gifts of heaven and earth were also quite beneficial for stimulating the bloodline of divine beasts. This guy who claimed to be a phoenix was most likely attracted by the gifts of heaven and earth. He didn't speak anymore, quietly absorbing the gifts of heaven and earth. The few spiritual fires in the space of the spiritual bead were somewhat lacking in potential. The last time Zhou Wan went through the tribulation, absorbing the gifts of heaven and earth had almost healed the internal injuries of the body and Yuanning. For the time being, he didn't need to absorb too much, so he sent a large amount of the gifts of heaven and earth into the 5 spiritual fires in the space of the spiritual bead. These spiritual fires were directly related to the growth of the space of the spiritual bead. When they grew, the benefits were also great. Wang Daoyuan didn't speak anymore, but the demon beast in the astral wind layer couldn't sit still. That human brat, why aren't you talking? Is he afraid? Wang Daoyuan still didn't say a word. The demon beast clamored again, if you have the guts, come up and fight with me for 300 rounds. Wang Daoyuan still ignored it. Whether I have the guts or not is up to Zhou Wan. What right does a mixed bird have to talk nonsense here? The bloodline of the red-feathered crow was extraordinary, and the gifts of heaven and earth were also extremely plentiful. Yinglong absorbed a lot of gifts of heaven and earth, appearing more agile. In particular, the 5 embryonic forms of the artifact spirits in his body had also improved a lot, and the law fluctuations were obviously strengthened. In the space of the spiritual bead, although the special energy of the secondary fire was far inferior to that of the mother fire, it was also obviously strengthened. Seeing the tribulation clouds in the sky getting thinner and thinner, the demon beast in the astral wind layer who claimed to be a phoenix became anxious. A white shadow swooped down from the astral wind layer. This guy's cultivation was at the upper grade of the 5th rank. Wang Daoyuan also felt a strong phoenix aura from this white shadow. With Zhou Wan as his Dao companion, he was still very familiar with the aura of the phoenix. As the white figure flashed past him, he waved his hand and shot out several bursts of sword qi. The white shadow was very agile and easily dodged the sword qi attack. At this moment, the speed of the white figure had also slowed down. A demonic bird with a wingspan of more than 10 feet appeared right above them. As he absorbed the gifts of the world, he revealed an intoxicated expression. It was covered in white feathers and had a short tail. There was even a bright red crown on its head. From the looks of it, it was simply a giant white-feathered chicken. Wang Daoyuan wondered if the white-feathered chicken from his previous world had also transmigrated here. Or was its ancestor the white-feathered chicken that had ascended? White-feathered chicken Daoyu, are you going to scram or do you want me to catch you and make you into soup? Hearing this, the white-feathered chicken was furious. I'm a phoenix, not a white-feathered chicken. After saying that, he stopped absorbing the gifts of the world and dived towards Wang Daoyuan. Before Wang Daoyuan could make a move, the red-feathered crow turned into a golden sun. There was still a lot of red in the sun, but it was much less than before. Before the red-feathered crow reached the 4th stage, his flames were mainly red with a small amount of gold. After reaching the 4th stage, the red and gold colors were the same. Now, his flames were mainly gold with a small amount of red. The change in the flames was also due to the increasing concentration of his golden crow bloodline. The golden flames were also getting closer and closer to the sun primordial fire. Moreover, its appearance was similar to that of a real golden crow, except that it did not have 3 claws. The pure-blooded golden crow's strength was not inferior to that of divine beasts such as dragons and phoenixes. Even when facing the 5 elements divine beasts, it was only slightly inferior. For the red-feathered crow's bloodline to reach such a level, its strength might be far superior to that of a divine beast of the same level. The white-feathered chicken was very fast and was not much slower than the gray roc. The divine beast roc and the golden crow were the representatives of the fastest speed in the world. Only the sword immortal of the human race could barely compare with them. Wang Daoyuan was a little surprised that the white-feathered chicken could be so fast. The red-feathered crow turned into a sun and was naturally very fast. It was not inferior to the white-feathered chicken at all. A golden sun and a white shadow kept colliding in the air. Wang Daoyuan did not intend to make a move. The red-feathered crow had not made a move in a long time. Now that there was an opponent, it was a good opportunity for it to practice. The white-feathered chicken's cultivation was high enough and its speed was fast enough, but its combat strength was obviously not very good. Against the low-grade 5th-grade red-feathered crow, it could only gain the upper hand and could not win quickly. In the process of flying, it could not absorb too much of the gifts of heaven and earth. The red-feathered crow had absorbed most of the gifts of heaven and earth. A little more or less was not a big problem. The rest of the gifts of heaven and earth would be taken advantage of by Wang Daoyuan. He used his theurgy and included the entire range of the gifts of heaven and earth in his theurgy domain. A spirit chi whirlpool appeared in the air and most of the purple gold petals were sucked in by the spirit chi whirlpool. The white-feathered chicken took the risk to come down here to absorb some of the gifts of heaven and earth. Now, it could not absorb any at all and its life might be in danger. It wanted to escape, but the red-feathered crow did not let it go and entangled it. Wang Daoyuan naturally would not let it go. He waved his hand and released the black tortoise purgatory. The white-feathered chicken's speed was extremely fast. It dodged several times before the black tortoise purgatory was formed. He simply took out the sword of origin and slashed at it. The flying sword's speed was extremely fast and was even faster than the white-feathered chicken's. A silver light flashed past the white-feathered chicken's body, and it quickly dodged to the side. Its speed was extremely fast and it successfully dodged the fatal attack. However, under the sharp sword chi, a few feathers were still broken. Because they were not long feathers on the wings, it did not affect its flying speed. Under the joint attack of the red-feathered crow and the sword of origin, the white-feathered chicken was in a difficult situation. It was almost heavily injured by the sword of origin several times. After fighting for more than an hour, there were many wounds on its body. Its white feathers were stained with red blood and its speed was getting slower and slower. The sword of origin chased after it. As long as the sword could hit it, it would lose its life. Just as the sword of origin was about to hit the red-feathered crow, a silver light descended from the sky. This silver light was extremely powerful. It directly repelled the sword of origin, and the silver light also collapsed. A sharp voice came from the astral wind layer. Dao Yu of the human race, it's a bit too much to bully someone with numbers. Wang Daoyuan was shocked. This silver light could actually repel the sword of origin. Although he did not use his full strength, it was enough to kill a 5th-rank upper-grade demon beast. The opponent's silver light should not be a divine ability. It could not be considered as using its full strength. The red-feathered crow is going through a tribulation. You came to snatch the gift of heaven and earth. Isn't that too much? Since you've made your move, you should be prepared that you won't be able to leave. Then, 10 sword shadows appeared out of thin air and attacked the white-feathered chicken again. A cold snort came from the astral wind layer. Dao Yu, you're refusing a toast only to drink a forfeit. Then, dozens of silver feathers fell and blocked the sword shadows. Wang Daoyuan was quite familiar with these feathers. They were similar to the feather blades of the golden rock fighting dragon technique. They had the meaning of a divine ability. The guy in the sky should also have the rock bloodline. At this time, the purple-gold auspicious clouds in the sky gradually dissipated. The gift of heaven and earth had ended. He put away Yinglong. The 5 natal Dharma artifacts in his body had merged into the Yinglong demon-slaying sword and were ready to attack at any time. The red-feathered crow retreated to Wang Daoyuan's side, afraid that it would be killed in one blow. Without his entanglement, the white-feathered chicken escaped into the astral wind layer. The sharp voice came again. This time, my junior is injured. If it weren't for healing, you wouldn't be able to leave today. Then, a white figure flashed through the astral wind layer and flew east. Without Yinglong demon-slaying sword, Wang Daoyuan was not confident that he could win. This guy was extremely fast, and his strength was unknown. Even if he used Yinglong demon-slaying sword, he was not confident that he could kill it in one blow. Yinglong demon-slaying sword was not suitable for prolonged battles. The possibility of being killed was very high. In the astral wind layer, humans were far less agile than demon beasts. Naturally, he would not chase after it. He just took the red-feathered crow back to Jade Spring Peak. Chapter 834. This demonic beast that had yet to show itself should be at the same level as him. To be able to use spells to fight against the origin returning sword, it was at least at the peak of the 5th stage. Coupled with the bloodline of a divine beast, even a peak Yuanian cultivator might not be able to match him. After returning to the Jade Spring Peak, Wang Daoyuan immediately sent a message to Zhou Wan, his master, and the cultivators guarding the Archaic Mysteries sect. With the appearance of such a powerful demonic beast, there might be more of them. Although they did not have the ability to deal with peak 5th stage demonic beasts, they should be able to protect the sect with the help of the methods left behind by their ancestors. This was to prevent them from being ambushed and killed by the demonic beasts. With such an opponent that he was not confident of defeating, he had to increase his strength. It was still unknown how many such experts he would have to face in the future. If it was just one expert of such strength, it would not be a problem. Although the opponent was strong, it was not to the point where he could crush him. The difference in strength between the two sides was not big, so the opponent could not defeat him. Wang Daoyuan released the gray rock and the red-feathered crow to be on guard in the Wang family's territory in case they were ambushed. He himself was working hard to increase his strength in the underground cave. In addition to increasing his cultivation, he would also take time to comprehend the origin returning sword diagram. The origin returning sword diagram that he obtained in the 7 Stars Heavenly Palace's Ziwei Hall was left behind by the origin returning sword immortal. Comprehending this origin returning sword diagram was extremely beneficial to the growth of his sword intent and the comprehension of new sword intents. His divine abilities were already strong enough to deal with multiple upper-grade 5th stage demonic beasts at the same time. But against a peak 5th stage half-divine beast, he could only guarantee that he would not be defeated. If he wanted to kill his opponent, it was not enough to rely on divine abilities alone. His current strongest technique was still Yinglong's demon-slaying sword. The power of Yinglong's demon-slaying sword depended on the strength of the 5 natal magic artifacts, the growth of the embryonic form of the artifact spirit, the increase of his own strength, and the strength of his sword intent. Natal magic artifacts could not grow quickly and could only be done step by step. The growth of the embryonic form of the artifact spirit was even more difficult. It would take at least a few decades for it to take shape. His own strength was also his cultivation. Naturally, he could not give up on this, but to break through to the next realm, he needed time. Previously, when he broke through to the mid-stage Yuanying, he was on a rank 5 volcanic island with a rank 5 spirit vein. He used his spiritual fire to burn a large amount of lava into spiritual energy for his own use. He even took dozens of nascent cultivating pills. Even so, it still took 10 years. Right now, he didn't lack nascent cultivating pills, but he didn't have enough spiritual energy. Even if there were 5 spiritual veins in the space of the spiritual pearl, it could not be compared to a rank 5 volcano. In a short period of time, his cultivation could increase slightly, but breaking through to the late stage of yuanying was very difficult. The only thing that could improve quickly was his sword intent. Previously, he had used the white tiger sword intent as his foundation and fused the killing sword intent, the imposing sword intent, and the penetrating sword intent. To improve the sword intent, it could improve the 4 sword intents that had already been fused, and it could also fuse new sword intents. Killing and penetration were mainly used to attack the opponent's physical body, while majestic sword intent was used to intimidate the soul. What he needed to deal with were demonic beasts. These fellows' souls were relatively weak. Using the method of intimidating their souls to deal with them was the most suitable. The white tiger soul subduing roar was barely enough to deal with an upper rank 5 demonic beast, and it was not very useful for a peak rank 5 demonic beast. Therefore, he planned to comprehend another sword intent that could intimidate the soul. When using Yinglong's Demon Slayer sword, the most frightening thing was not the lack of power, but not being able to touch the opponent. Previously, when he killed Snake Xiao in the archaic Arcanum sect, he had dodged the attacks of the Sword of Origin restoring many times. An upper rank 5 demonic beast could dodge many attacks, let alone a peak rank 5 demonic beast. Similar to the imposing sword intent were the Emperor sword intent and the soul subduing sword intent. Comprehending these 2 sword intents was not difficult for Wang Daoyuan. After all, he was one of the leaders of the human race, and he had been an emperor for decades. He had the foundation to comprehend the Emperor sword intent. The soul subduing sword intent could directly attack the soul, and it was connected to the white tiger soul subduing roar, so it was not difficult to comprehend. It didn't take much time to comprehend these 2 new sword intents. In less than half a month in the space, he had only comprehended 2 sword intents. Fusing them was not too difficult. A few months in the space was enough. The improvement was the most important. After cultivating in the Jade Spring Peak for 2 years, the spirit vein in the heaven/mountain range had completely reached the level of lower rank 5. Moreover, the rising momentum of the spirit chi had only weakened slightly. There was still a lot of momentum. When it stabilized, the spirit vein in the heaven/mountain range might grow to middle rank 5. Stabilizing did not mean that it would no longer increase, but the increase would be slower. It might take a few hundred years for it to be obvious. It would not be like now, where he could feel the spirit chi density increasing all the time. At the same time, other higher-grade spirit veins were also affected by the heaven/mountain range, and the spirit chi density began to increase. Master also sent news that spirit chi with the power of laws had already appeared at the Treasure Cauldron Mountain. It would not be long before it could support cultivators to break through to the Yuanying realm. The Wang family's territory was also affected. The spirit vein in Fallen Dragon Ridge had now been upgraded to lower rank 3. At the Purple Gold River branch, in the depths of the heaven/mountain range, there were already many level 5 spirit chi. The Jade Spring Peak had just leveled up, but the spirit chi density had increased slightly. On the other hand, the spirit vein in Qingli City had finally been upgraded to lower rank 4 after integrating with the 5 elements essence for several years. Moreover, the speed of improvement did not decrease. Instead, it showed signs of gradually accelerating. Zhou Wan also sent news that level 5 spirit chi had begun to appear at the Blood Shadow headquarters. It would not be long before it could support cultivators to break through to the Yuanying realm. If they were willing to take the risk, they could go to the heaven/mountain range to transcend the tribulation now. In the past 2 years, the demon race's activities had clearly decreased. It was obvious that they were preparing for a big battle. The demon race would not watch the human race's strength explode. A conflict between the 2 races could erupt at any time. What was lacking now was a fuse. At this moment, Zhong Zhenyang from Shanbei sent news that many demon beasts had gathered in the east of their fief. He captured a level 4 demon beast alive. After searching its soul, he found out that a demon beast was about to break through to level 5. This demon beast was Yan Hui from the Black Flame Tiger tribe. He was also Wang Daoyuan's old friend. Yan Hui was worried that the human race would get involved, so he invited a few demon race guardians who were on good terms with him. In the end, when the news spread, many level 4 demon beasts went to learn, and the result was a big commotion. Back then, when they were dealing with refined corpses, they had fought side by side and called each other brothers. However, in front of the greater good of the race, personal friendship was nothing. If the demon race had another level 5 demon beast, the human race would be in more danger, and their losses would be greater. For the survival of the human race and the Wang family, no matter how good their relationship was, they had to kill Yan Hui. Wang Daoyuan left the gray rock and the red-feathered crow behind to watch over the house while he boarded a high-grade rank 5 flying boat and headed northeast. More than 2 hours later, the flying boat arrived at the place Zhong Zhenyang mentioned. At this time, there were no tribulation clouds, and Yan Hui had not started to transcend the tribulation. Zhong Zhenyang transmitted his voice to him, "Retired Emperor, I'm here." Wang Daoyuan immediately put away the flying boat, hid his figure, and came to Zhong Zhenyang's hiding place. After not seeing him for decades, Zhong Zhenyang was close to the end of his life, and his body was shrouded in a decaying aura. Zhong Zhenyang continued, "The place where Yan Hui is transcending the tribulation is in a valley 2,000 miles north. The demon race is also prepared, and there are level 5 demon beasts there. When I went to investigate before, I was almost discovered. I didn't dare to get too close, and I can't be sure how many demon beasts there are. It's easy now that you know where it is. I'll go and deal with them. You can go back first." Zhong Zhenyang looked like he wanted to say something but hesitated. Wang Daoyuan said directly, "If you have something to say, say it." He nodded. "I have a presumptuous request. Since the retired emperor allows me to say it, then I'll boldly say it. My lifespan has been exhausted, and I've collected some 5-element spiritual objects over the years. There are no seedlings in the clan who can break through to the Yuanyin realm, so these spiritual objects are useless. I want to try to break my core and form my nascent soul. I dare to ask the retired emperor to protect me after dealing with the demon beasts." Chapter 835. Wang Daoyuan carefully weighed the pros and cons. If Zhong Zhenyang broke through to the Yuanyin realm, it would be a good thing and a bad thing for the Yan kingdom. He also had a minor divine power, which would turn into a divine power after he formed his nascent soul. His minor divine power was to create countless ghost heads to attack the opponent's soul, which was very powerful against demons. When the human race and the demon race fought in the future, he would have one more helper. But if he formed his nascent soul, no one in the Wang family could stop him except for himself and Zhou Wan. Once he left in the future, there would be a situation where the minister was strong and the master was weak. The cultivators of the Netherworld sect were not easy to deal with. Once there was a situation where the minister was strong and the master was weak, they would inevitably have disloyalty. After weighing the pros and cons for a long time, Wang Daoyuan replied, "I can protect you, but don't forget who is the ruler and who is the minister." Zhong Zhenyang quickly bowed. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I'm willing to guard the northern border for the Yan kingdom for the rest of my life. If I have disloyalty, I'll be destroyed by heaven and earth." Wang Daoyuan waved his hand and said, "Don't be happy too early. You have to prepare the Dharma artifact to withstand the heavenly tribulation. Besides, you have a minor divine power. After the 5 elements heavenly tribulation, there will be a divine power tribulation. Everyone who went through this heavenly tribulation had a slim chance of survival. Even I was seriously injured during the tribulation and fainted." Zhong Zhenyang was full of confidence. "Don't worry, Your Majesty. I've been preparing for more than 300 years to break through to the Yuanyin realm. Back then, during the spirit qi tide in the hidden dragon river, the spirit qi concentration was rising. I guessed that there might be level 5 spirit qi in Beiyuan Shuxian in the future. At that time, I thought that there might be a chance to go further, so I sent the Zhong family disciples to explore the ancient ruins in the sky/mountain range and collected a lot of spiritual items. I used the remains of a level 5 demon beast and my cultivation technique to refine a bone armor. After many years of nourishment, it shouldn't be a problem to withstand the 5 heavenly tribulations. If I can't use it, I can leave it for my descendants. This old man was really far-sighted. He had started planning a few hundred years ago. If you had such a thing, why didn't you take it out when the Zhao family reclaimed their country? A Dharma artifact that could withstand the Yuanine tribulation is much stronger than the seal of the Zhao state. Zhong Zhenyang mocked himself, so what if I win? At that time, retired emperor had the backing of the divine weapon pavilion, so I didn't dare to do anything to you. In the south, the Song kingdom was still eyeing them covetously. The 3 major sects were not capable of great things, and the underworld sect was still controlled by the Luo family. If I take out this bone armor, even if I win, I will be jointly suppressed. My Zhong clan's descendants do not have any outstanding talents. After my death, this bone armor will be the Zhong clan's death talisman. If that's the case, why don't we sell the underworld sect and give the Zhong clan a way out? This old man was truly a wily old fox. He had truly hidden himself well. However, he had made the right bet. Back then, if he had helped the Netherworld sect with all his strength, with Luo Jiuyo's character, even if he had won, he would have tried every means to kill Zhong Zhenyang. At this moment, a black cloud appeared more than 2,000 miles to the north. The black cloud was still expanding, and soon, it had reached a diameter of 100 miles. Zhong Zhenyang asked, "Retired emperor, why don't we go over and end it now?" Wang Daoyuan sneered, "Don't play tricks with me. Let's wait for it to pass the tribulation, then we can loot it and grab some gifts from the heavens and earth. In your current state, even with the bone armor, it will be difficult for you to pass the divine tribulation. If you can get some gifts from the heavens and earth, your chances of passing the tribulation will be higher. If you pass the tribulation successfully, our human clan will have one more master." Zhong Zhenyang was a little embarrassed when his thoughts were seen through. He did not speak anymore. The two quietly waited for the result of the tribulation. More than 2 hours later, the 5 heavenly tribulations passed, and the tribulation cloud in the sky began to change to purple gold. Wang Daoyuan took out the flying boat and flew to the tribulation place with Zhong Zhenyang. Just before the tribulation cloud completely turned purple gold, they arrived at the small valley. In the valley, there were dozens of 4th-rank demonic beasts and a white-feathered chicken. It was the one that the red-feathered crow encountered during the tribulation. This guy's injury had healed, but now he dared to court death again. Wang Daoyuan drove the flying boat and did not hide. Naturally, he could not hide it from the demonic beasts. As soon as the white-feathered chicken saw the 5th-rank high-grade flying boat, it immediately flapped its wings and flew toward the astral wind layer above. Wang Daoyuan was still too far away to make a move. He could only watch it escape. The white-feathered chicken was gone, but the remaining demonic beasts could not be let go. These 4th-rank demonic beasts were all 4th-rank peak and high-grade. Most of them had the potential to break through to the 5th rank. Wang Daoyuan put away the flying boat, used the sky-splitting sword escape, and flew over the valley. The divine tribulation was launched, and all the spiritual energy in the domain was transformed into metal attribute. Subsequently, 36 sword shadows appeared out of thin air at the edge of the domain, surrounding all the 4th-rank demonic beasts. The sword shadows shuttled through the demonic beasts, and each sword shadow could take away a 4th-rank demonic beast. The white-feathered chicken, a 5th-rank high-grade demonic beast, had fled. These 4th-rank demonic beasts panicked and only knew to flee. A few demonic beasts who dared to resist could not even break a sword shadow. In just a few dozen breaths of time, this group of 4th-rank demonic beasts were all killed. Wang Daoyuan put away these corpses in passing and landed on the valley's ground. Zhong Zhenyang was dumbstruck as he watched from the side. The moment the 5th-rank demonic beasts saw him, they fled in panic. Several dozen 4th-rank demonic beasts were slaughtered to the last. He also had confidence in defeating these 4th-rank demonic beasts. But taking one down would also require half a day. At this time, a purple gold ball with a diameter of more than 2 inches fell from the magic cloud. The ball's target was precisely the protagonist transcending the tribulation, Yan Hui. At this time, he was already struck by lightning into a pile of charcoal. This purple gold ball's target was Yan Hui. It was very difficult for others to intercept it. If he killed Yan Hui now, this purple gold ball would also disappear. Wang Daoyuan might be able to stop it, such as directly receiving it with a spiritual bead. However, there was no need to expose his greatest trump card for such a small matter. He released Yinglong from between Yuanying's eyebrows to intercept the gift of heaven and earth. This guy was a 5 elements divine beast avatar. It was formed by the fusion of the power of the heavenly tribulation and the gift of heaven and earth. It should be of some use. After Yinglong flew out, it opened its mouth and swallowed the purple gold ball into its stomach. It was unable to absorb such a huge amount of the gift of heaven and earth, and its body constantly emitted purple gold energy. Wang Daoyuan hurriedly recalled it and sent it into the spiritual bead space. Yan Hui did not obtain any benefits, and it was impossible for him to recover. Seeing that Zhong Zhenyang was still in a daze, Wang Daoyuan shouted, "Why aren't you coming over to absorb the gift of heaven and earth? This is your only hope of successfully transcending the tribulation." He woke up from his daze and immediately flew under the magic cloud. At this time, purple gold petals began to fall from the sky. Wang Daoyuan looked at Yan Hui, who was about to die, and said, "Big brother Yan Hui, we once fought side by side. Unfortunately, the two clans are about to fight to the death. If you don't break through, there's no harm in sparing your life. Unfortunately, you just had to break through at this time. I know your character, and you will never submit to the human race. For the human race, forgive me for not being particular. Yan Kingdom's retired Emperor Wang Daoyuan, send big brother Yan Hui on his way." After saying that, he waved his hand and shot out a red and gold flame, burning the pile of charcoal to ashes. The following gifts of heaven and earth were used by the heavenly Tao to compensate for the damaged spirit veins and plants here. Even if the person transcending the tribulation died, the gifts of heaven and earth would not stop. Zhong Zhenyang hurriedly circulated his cultivation technique to absorb the gifts of heaven and earth. More than 70% of the gifts of heaven and earth were in the purple gold ball from before. At this time, purple gold energy was constantly overflowing from Yinglong's body in the spiritual bead space. Wang Daoyuan used his divine sense to control the energy and merge it into the 5 elements spiritual fire. He also drew out some energy and merged it into his Yuanying, increasing the potential of his Yuanying. 15 minutes later, the magic cloud dissipated. Zhong Zhenyang had absorbed a lot of the gifts of heaven and earth, and his body was full of vitality. He was no longer as lifeless as before. Wang Daoyuan took out a broken core grass. Take advantage of the fact that the gifts of heaven and earth have not completely dissipated, quickly transcend the tribulation. This is a broken core grass, it can help you break through the golden core. Chapter 836. Zhong Zhenyang took the broken elixir grass and asked, "Is this the broken elixir grass that can break the elixir but has no other toxicity?" Although it is a 4th-level spiritual medicine, it has a high requirement for spiritual energy. It is very difficult for it to grow on a 4th-level upper-grade spiritual vein. Moreover, ordinary cultivators don't need it. Therefore, no one is willing to cultivate this thing. Now, only the 4 top forces and first-class forces like Zhou Qin may still have seeds. If the retired emperor has a lot of these things, he can use them to refine poisons. You are also an alchemist, so you should know that the elixir of the demon clan is similar to that of the human clan. This broken elixir grass can break the elixir of both humans and demons. The elixir of a 5th-level monster has purer spiritual energy, but it is still an elixir after all, so it can't ignore the medicinal properties of the broken elixir grass. Even if it can't directly break the elixir, it can have a great impact on it. The broken elixir grass was not very useful, and not many people needed it. Wang Daoyuan didn't plant many of them, so he only planted a dozen at the edge of the spiritual bead space. He didn't want to use it to poison people. He just wanted to keep it for his family to break the elixir and form the nascent soul. Do you have the prescription for making poison with the broken elixir grass? Zhong Zhenyang took out a jade slip. This thing was obtained by the juniors of our clan when they went out to travel. It should be the inheritance scattered in the Valley of Beasts. They have been dealing with monsters all year round, so they are more experienced in this aspect. This prescription strengthens the effect on monsters, but it is not very effective on human elixir realm cultivators. Wang Daoyuan took the prescription and gave him a pill bottle. This is the 9-death resurrection pill used by Yuanian cultivators for healing. Take one when you are injured during the tribulation. It will be more or less useful. After that, he left the valley to give Zhong Zhenyang some space. Zhong Zhenyang took out 4 monster cores, which were of the 4 attributes of metal, wood, fire, and earth. He was of the water attribute, and with these 4 monster cores, he could gather the 5 attributes. He crushed the 4 monster cores and swallowed them directly. After refining them, he didn't spit out the elixir. Instead, he began to run his cultivation method, and a vortex of spiritual energy with a diameter of hundreds of feet appeared above his head. The golden core was the main source of spiritual energy for breaking the golden core to form the nascent soul, but some additional spiritual energy was still needed. He didn't have the assistance of a grade 5 Fae, so he could only rely on absorbing spirit chi from the outside world. The process of absorbing spiritual energy might take a few days. This was also the reason why most cultivators wanted to find spiritual objects to assist them in breaking through to the nascent soul stage. Just sitting there for a few days would cause quite a commotion. It was very likely that it would attract enemies. After consuming the 5 elements spiritual items and refining them into the golden core, the spiritual energy in the golden core would become very heterogeneous. Not only would his strength not improve, but it would also decrease significantly. Without the protection of an expert, there was an 80% chance that he would die an unnatural death. With Wang Daoyuan here, there were no traces of demonic beasts within a radius of several thousand miles. Yinglong was still spewing out purple gold energy from within the space of the spirit pearl. After a portion of the spirit plants absorbed the energy, their grades finally improved. The hidden cloud tea, which had been stuck at the peak of the 4th stage for many years, finally broke through to the 5th stage. The other spirit plants were still lacking. 3 days later, Zhong Zhenyang stopped absorbing spiritual energy. He took out the broken core grass and swallowed it whole. A moment later, he opened his mouth and spat out the golden core. With the broken core grass's medicinal properties, the golden core shattered in just a few breaths. After the golden core shattered, the purple mansion appeared. This fellow's violet palace anomaly was a sinister ghost head with a thick black mist surrounding it. Without the assistance of spiritual herbs like the nascent soul fruit, forming the nascent soul was relatively slow. It took him an hour to form a nascent soul, which was 2 inches and 7 centimeters tall, from the gold core and the purple palace. This guy's talent was not bad. Lei Yan's Yuanying was only 3 inches tall. Moreover, Zhong Zhenyang's cultivation technique and the Fei he obtained were incomparable to Lei Yan's. In terms of talent, he shouldn't be weaker than Lei Yan. After the Yuanying was formed, a dark cloud appeared in the sky. Zhong Zhenyang took out a set of armor. This armor was mainly refined from beast bones and had some dragon scales. All the materials were left behind by 5th stage demonic beasts. However, without the nourishment of spiritual energy for a long time, it fell to the peak of 4th stage. This armor also had some power of laws unique to 5th stage magic artifacts. Zhong Zhenyang should have secretly nurtured it after the Fei appeared in the sky/mountain range. After the armor appeared, it quickly shrank and put on the Yuanying's body. 15 minutes later, the tribulation cloud expanded to more than 100 kilometers in diameter. A green ball fell from the sky. The Yuanying activated the bone armor with all his strength and then used a divine ability to withstand the tribulation. The tribulation fell and the divine ability collapsed. The bone armor didn't suffer much damage, but it was slightly dimmed. It had to be said that the bone armor was not weak. It was even stronger than ordinary 5th stage magic artifacts. 2 hours later, all 5 tribulation clouds were over. The bone armor was completely destroyed and turned into a pile of bone fragments scattered on the ground. The Yuanying was also heavily injured. However, he had absorbed a lot of gifts from heaven and earth, which were very useful now. In addition, he had eaten a few 9 death soul return pills, so his injuries quickly recovered. 15 minutes later, the injuries on Zhong Zhenyang's body had recovered by 80 to 90%. At this moment, a black aura fell from the sky. It contained extremely strong yin qi and death qi. The black aura enveloped Zhong Zhenyang's entire body. This black aura had the effect of blocking divine sense. Wang Daoyuan also couldn't know what was going on inside. He could only see ghost heads emerging from the black aura from time to time. After an hour, the black aura calmed down. The tribulation cloud in the sky also began to change to a purple-gold color. Wang Daoyuan released Yinglong and let it devour the remaining black aura. Although the black aura was eerie, it was formed by the power of the tribulation. Yinglong had almost digested the gifts of heaven and earth that it had devoured previously. The 5 embryonic forms of the artifact spirits had improved greatly. At least 20 years of nurturing had been saved. Yinglong quickly devoured the black aura. In just 15 minutes, there was not much of the black aura left. The Yuanying heavenly tribulation of human cultivators didn't hurt the body, but Zhong Zhenyang's Yuanying was intact and still had a lot of vitality. It was just that there was almost no fluctuation of divine sense power, as if only a shell was left. His magical power mainly hurt the soul. At this time, his soul should not be left. After passing the heavenly tribulation, with the gifts of heaven and earth, he could recover from any injuries. At this moment, there was a violent sound of wind breaking from the sky, and the sound of wings flapping. These monsters had endured for a few days, and now they finally couldn't bear it anymore. Soon, a strange silver bird descended from the sky. The reason why it was called a strange bird was that its head and neck were very similar to a phoenix. And below the neck, it was exactly the same as a rock. It should have the bloodline of both the phoenix and the rock at the same time. The rock was originally a variant of the phoenix clan. With the phoenix bloodline, it was not a mixed bird. This guy's wingspan was more than 1,000 feet, and its body had the metal attribute spiritual power fluctuation of the peak of the 5th rank. After a sharp cry, it swooped down toward Zhong Zhenyang below. Wang Daoyuan naturally couldn't let it succeed. He activated his magical power domain and instantly converted the surrounding spiritual power into the fire attribute and gathered it together. Red and gold flames were released, refining the spiritual power in an instant. The flames turned into a red sun, blocking above Zhong Zhenyang. Although the strange bird was strong, it didn't want to crash in. It changed its direction and attacked Wang Daoyuan, condensing a large number of silver feathers with spiritual power. Wang Daoyuan didn't dodge. He took out the origin returning sword, and countless sword chi condensed into a giant sword shadow, slashing at the strange bird. The strange bird hurriedly dodged, and the giant sword shadow was shattered by a large number of feathers. However, all the feathers were also destroyed. This time, the 2 sides were tied. The strange bird sneered. "Dao Yu, we meet again. My demon clan broke through to the 5th rank, and you snatched the gift of heaven and earth and killed it. Now, I'll do what you did again. You shouldn't have any objections, right?" Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "No problem, as long as you can beat me." You're tuning into the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.